OIWA and SOAR Championship Wrestling presents Friday, June 18th, SOAR Mania 2 as the Undeniable Rockstars and DJ Brown, as well as MLW superstars Alexander Hammerstone and Gino Medina in action. Also, the OIWA International Heavyweight Champion Dante Smiley takes on Austin Aries. This and much more at SOAR Mania 2, June 18th at 7:30.
That's the great thing about sports. You play to win. And I don't care if you don't have any wins. You play to win the game. You don't play to just play it. You don't play to win. When you start telling me it doesn't matter, then we're tired. Get out.
We couldn't do diddly poo offensively. We couldn't make a push down. We couldn't run the ball. We didn't try to run the ball. We couldn't complete a pass. We sucked. We sucked.
You play to win the game.
That's pitiful.
You don't play to just play it.
Perform like that.
You don't play to win.
What's that?
When you start telling me
We suck.
it doesn't matter, then we're tired.
You kidding me? Playoffs? What's that? Playoffs? You kidding me? Playoffs? Playoffs? That's pitiful. Playoffs? I just hope we can win a game. Another game.
Get off my coach's backs. Get off the players' backs. I'm responsible for the whole thing. I'm responsible for the whole thing. Okay.
The Bears are who we thought they were. That's why we took the damn field. Now, you want to crown them? Then crown their ass. But they are who we thought they were. And we let them off the hook.
I told you what I'm gonna do now. Now you wanna what I'm gonna do because I'm contingency of that. Wanna know what I'm gonna do in a contingency of that. All of which are hypothetical.
I'm the coach of the team. I decide
Who's sitting, who's playing.
I decide who plays, when they play, where they play. That's why we took the damn field. That's why we took the damn field.
What next?
You play to win the game.
I want winners.
You don't play to just play it.
I want people that want to win. This is how I believe, okay? I'm from the old school. Our formula is this. We go out, we hit people in the mouth, number one. Number two, we cannot give them the game. Number three,
Hello?
We suck.
I tell you the truth.
right now that person is not sold out to be part of this team. Cannot play with them.
You play to win the game.
Cannot win with them.
Playoffs?
Hello?
Cannot coach with them.
That is so much crap.
Can't do it.
You play.
Welcome to the Couch Potato Sports Show, your internet radio home for all sports, news, and talk. Join Sonny Clark, the hardest working man in sports radio, and the Eagle Eye, Bill Cerna, and the best co-host anyone could ask for, Cuervo. We cover it all: NFL, NBA, MLB, NHL, as well as indoor football and high school sports. Now, it's time. Here's Sonny Clark.
All right, everybody, it's 3:30. It's time for the Couch Potato Sports Show. A little late kickoff because of Cuervo needing a little time, and we were just fine with giving him that time in order for him to do what he needed to do so we can have more of the MVP here on the Couch Potato Sports Show as we get set here on our Sunday tradition that's moving now into close to our, 12 and a half years doing what we do here on the Couch Potato Sports Show. Welcome into the show. And there is a lot to talk about in today's show. There's always Aaron Rodgers to talk about. I mean, every once in a while, we run into a thing where guys that are getting a lot of attention, they get it for a long time. We're going to talk a little bit about that. Some comparisons with Aaron Rodgers and one other quarterback. We're going to talk a little bit about that. I'm not going to tell you who it is. Just going to keep it so before you even get started, hey, just stop it. Just wait for it. It's coming. I promise. So watch out for that. That being said, of course, that's the name of the show. Other things that we're going to be talking about on this show as, say whatever you want. The Jaguars are in the news, whether it be for the situation with Tim Tebow. And that is what's going on. Tim Tebow making news for the Jaguars. And the Jaguars not even making news just because of, what they're doing on the football team with their new quarterback and everything else. Tim Tebow seems to be a big, big part of what they're talking about. But wait, Gardner Minshew. We'll be talking a little bit about him. Where is Gardner Minshew in the grand scheme of things for the Jaguars? Good, bad, or indifferent? We'll talk a little bit about that as much. Also, some big news, as far as trade rumors going on, there is one Julio Jones that is getting a lot of attention from several different teams, but one in particular, one without Tom Brady, but with Cam Newton. Yes, I'm talking about the Patriots looking out for a little Julio Jones action, and we'll talk a little bit about that. Also, we'll talk about wide receivers in general as far as what's going on in the NBA or in the NFL and things like that. And specifically, Aaron Rodgers, going back to him, what's going on with the wide receivers with that football team. And we'll talk about that. We'll also talk about the Bengals, some talk about how good they may or may not be. We'll talk about what we think about good, bad, or indifferent as far as that is concerned as well. Also, Jalen Hurts from the Philadelphia Eagles. What's going on with him? And then by special request, and I'm throwing Cuervo completely under the bus. I didn't know about this until earlier today. When I woke up, I had an email, someone asking me to break down a little bit what we're seeing with the Dallas Cowboys. Obviously, with us being in the Dallas area, lots of interest on what's going on. That we'll get Cuervo's opinion as well as mine as we looked it up. But first, before we get started, and hopefully Cuervo will be getting in here fairly quickly, as we get set for the NBA playoffs. Now, granted, guys, I'm going to be the first to come out and admit I have not watched, I've only watched one basketball game this year. Wanted to, but they started off with no fans and everything else, so it really didn't interest me until it came down to the Golden State Warriors taking on the LA Lakers for that play to get in, and boy, wouldn't have it been wonderful to see LeBron James not actually win that game. But unfortunately, the Lakers did win that game. They are in the playoffs, and actually, if I'm not mistaken, they might be playing now. I'll take a look as we were talking about that, taking on the first game in the NBA playoffs against the number 2 seed, the Phoenix Suns, which, if anybody knows a little bit about me, yes, I'm in Dallas, but at the same time, before I came down, I was in Arizona for 20-some odd years, so looking at that, so interestingly enough, as far as, back in the day, back in the 90s, that's when they had Kevin Johnson, when they had Dan Marley, they had Sir Charles, and speaking of Sir Charles, we're talking about LeBron. And interestingly enough, as far as where the NBA is right now and what's going on with the NBA, one Sir Charles, that beats Sir Charles Barkley. We called him Sir back in the 90s. In fact, in one of the malls over in the Phoenix area called the Tri-City Malls, there used to be a big sand, and yes, I mean it, a big sand sculpture of Charles Barkley being Sir Charles there. Sir Charles has come out and basically said what everybody thinks that has the opinion about LeBron James of being, the entitled guy, the guy that no one, they get sick of dealing with and don't want to be around to hear from or like him because of either ego, whether it's perceived or he has it, and or preferential treatment. Now we get back to what had happened. This happened before that play to get in thing. He went to some party that was a part of the tequila thing that he was a part of. I guess he's part owner of it, and he actually broke the COVID protocols of being around people And in the NBA, and this is an interesting thing too, and I did not necessarily know this, and I'm going to bring this down because I'm trying to sit, there we go, trying to sit up so I'm not sitting on the bottom. LeBron James has not come out and said whether or not that he has or have not got the shot. Now, you know me, I got my shot. I'm doubled up, and a lot of people putting it out on social media, letting everybody know that they are, and that, I find that interesting that they did that people do it. But the NBA rules state that he's not allowed to be in a certain type of crowd, and based upon him not saying yay or nay as far as him and his shots. Again, he's not saying anything. But Charles Barkley, by the way, is 100% correct. The NBA don't have the stones to suspend LeBron James like they would anybody else, or just a guy sitting on the bench doing what they would. And it's not the fact that they would suspend him, but more the fact put him in a protocol that would make him miss a game, maybe two. We are in the playoffs, and that is the situation. When you are LeBron James, and this is what everybody, myself included, majorly dislike about LeBron James, is preferential treatment. Again, if this guy was the guy sitting on the bench, he'd be in a protocol and not be in the game. But it's LeBron James, and guess what? He's in the game, and guess what? They're not doing anything about it. Good, bad, or indifferent. I try to, I'm just one of these guys that I'm very cool with the rules. Very cool with the rules. I want the rules to be done, and I don't care if it's LeBron James. And granted, I get it. I get it, but I'm not going to sit here and say it's right for LeBron James to get preferential treatment over anybody else in the NBA just because, all that crap. I'm not for it. I'm always against that kind of stuff. And LeBron James should have been held to the same thing that the guy that's sitting the bench is. Because this is the NBA. This is one entity. There are rules and regulations. But just because he is LeBron James, he doesn't have to answer for it. That's a problem with me. Always will be a problem with me. And I get the fact that you have to treat these guys like they're very important. I mean, he is the next best thing for the NBA. He is the guy. I just get tired of that nonsense. He should sit the game like anybody else would. I don't know if it's one or two games. Whatever that protocol calls for, LeBron James should be made to do it. But it is LeBron James, so that's not going to happen. Charles Barkley is right. The NBA don't have enough stones to say, listen, you're going to sit out. They don't have the stones for that. And you say whatever you want about LeBron James, and we say a lot on this show because, it is what it is. But the simple fact of the matter is, myself and Charles Barkley feel exactly the same about that.
That was terrible. Crazy knuckleheaded terrible.
And when you have certain guys not having to, sit up with the rules and everything else, that's where they're at. It's just the way it is. Good, bad, or indifferent. Right now, though, they're at the end of the second quarter. They're going into halftime, and the Lakers are behind by 8. This game is game 1 being played in Phoenix, and God, I hope they figure out a way to beat the Los Angeles Lakers because I'm tired. I'm already – this incident alone makes me mad. The fact that they ended up beating the Clips, now the Clippers could have just made me happy and won, and we wouldn't be talking about the Lakers in the playoffs as the way it is. But within that division of basketball, the Suns won the Pacific, not the conference, but the Pacific division with a 51-21 record. The Los Angeles Lakers 42-30, and that's because they properly, by the way, sat down LeBron James regarding an injury that he had and let him sit and let him get healthy. Now, I don't know if they made him sit the full 6 weeks, but he was out quite a bit. They went on a losing streak, and it's a Lakers, a LeBron-led basketball team, whether it's Lakers, Cavaliers, or Miami Heat, is wonderful. Losing streaks are great. Love it. But right now, Suns up by 8. They're going into halftime right now in that game. And LeBron's got to come up big in reality because really if you kind of look at the situation and where it's at, you have to be there. Right now, LeBron James is 2 for 4. He's played 16 minutes of this game, and he's got 10 points. So in the first frame, the Suns, outscored them by 7, and then in the second half have outscored them by 1, and they're going to be moving into halftime. I don't know if they're completely in halftime. I know they're close to halftime, so that's up there. Devin Booker, he's got 17 points leading the Suns right now, and DeAndre Ayton, he's got 6 points following Booker. Drummond with 7 points. Remember, they picked up Drummond in the middle of the season as far as that is in the rebounds for the Lakers. And the assists, LeBron James got 4 assists, and Chris Paul for the Phoenix Suns. By the way, good pickup for the Suns with Chris Paul right there where it's at. So interestingly enough, we should be watching for that. Phoenix Suns right now shooting almost close to 36% from three-point land compared to Lakers 20%, 24 rebounds, big time, second time buckets for the Lakers compared to for the Suns compared to the Lakers 16 rebounds. So assists, 15 assists for the Suns, 8 for the Lakers. Steals big time over there, 5 of them for the Lakers, 2 for the Suns at this point of the game. Turnovers are neck and neck. Both of them with 7, and points in the paint. Big time. Get it into your big guys down deep. Suns with 34 points within the paint and 22 points for the Lakers. Fast break points, 8 for the Suns. So right now, the Suns completely dominating this game here in game 1 of the playoffs in the NBA. So interestingly enough, we'll be watching that one. We want to see a quick exit on this show anyway. Maybe not LeBron fans, but on this show, I want to see a very nice quick exit for the Lakers in that one. So, yeah, you saw I was having spaghetti tonight for dinner. Got that all set up. So, that being said, interestingly enough, the Lakers a big story. The Suns, just more in the fact, just rooting for them because of where I'm from. So that should be really interesting. A good series in reality to watch a little bit later on as far as that is concerned. So interesting stuff going on in the NBA. Some other things I want to talk about is I find this stuff interesting, and not that I'm going to get a lot to talk about it, but I talk about it a lot as far as when I'm around people, and I always talk about the situation where guys are getting hit by pitches in baseball. And we had that example a little bit early on this week where a 94-mile-an-hour fastball it got out of control. I forget the name of the guys, but I want to get back to the situation of the pitcher. Now, there's no – first of all, let me preface what I'm going to say. I understand that the pitcher – again, I forgot his name, and I'll look for it when Cuervo gets in here. And I realized that guy was devastated so much so they took him out of the game. But what I don't get and I don't understand, and I never will, but I'm all about old school, and don't get me wrong. Tony La Russa, okay, was the manager of the young mark that. That's a different situation. I'll talk about that in a minute. But they took the pitcher out of the game after he nailed a guy in the jaw with the 94-mile-an-hour fastball. And the guy there was no question the guy was distraught. But you also, just in my opinion, and yes, I watched the whole thing, so don't send me a clip that says, Sonny, you didn't even watch it. Watch the whole damn thing. This guy wanted to come off the mound, go there, and shake this guy's hand. He wanted to do it. And the unwritten rules of baseball would not allow him to do that. And I've got a real problem with that. Because to me, and we go back from the fact that I'm old school, and I understand old school mentality, but when you put someone's life at jeopardy, you got to be able to break out of that old school mentality. You got to break out of, this is the way you do it just because crap. Okay? I'm going to tell you straight out, that guy wanted to go over there and shake his hand, find out how he was doing, but the unwritten rules of baseball wouldn't allow it, and it would look at him as he is some kind of weakling. And I've got a huge problem with it. I mean, it's bad enough that we got the unwritten rules in sports anyway. Listen, I agree with some of the unwritten rules. Don't get me wrong. Completely understand. And it was a Dodger player that got hit with the 94 in this 3 days ago. And really just really knocked him out. I don't know how I can tell you, 94 miles an hour as Kevin Pillar took that right to the chin. Again, he was not, the pitcher was not aiming at him, and it wasn't done on purpose. But the velocity alone tells you something. And then I go back to guys that are getting thrown at on purpose. I have a real problem with it. By the way, so much so, don't do it around me. If I'm even at a baseball game, you're throwing at guys, you're going to have a problem with my fat ass. I'm telling you that right now. But the problem in reality, when you think about it, okay, it's not necessarily that people don't understand the rules or the unwritten rules. Sometimes you got to be able to stand up for yourself as a man. And yes, I'm going to take it away a little bit, because say whatever you want. Then they go back and they throw behind a pitcher. Because of a situation of a home run being hit off a pitcher. I'm just to the point where I don't feel bad for players if they're going to be stupid. You got to be able to. Listen. I've been told that I'm not allowed to do certain things because you have to show compassion. If that's so, that guy should have been able to go off the mound, shake that guy's hand, and say, "Jesus Christ, I'm so freaking sorry." Now, granted, that guy might not have been there, but going at least being in the area, showing the concern. He was showing concern from the mound. I completely get it. And I know this guy did not do this on purpose, but that unwritten rule stopped a time where humanity could have came over the game. And I think sometimes that a lot of people miss the fact that these guys are human. 94-mile-an-hour fastball gets away from you. And if it's truly and honestly something like this was completely an accident, this should not be something that anybody looks down on. I got a huge problem with it. And you're not going to be, by the way, you're not going to be able to convince me that him not being able to come off of the mound because of the quote-unquote unwritten rules, you won't be able to convince me that's right. So I would say don't even try. Because I'm going to tell you right now, if I would have done it, that's what he should have done in that situation. Showing compassion for the guy that he hit and apologizing immediately. Again, he may not have wanted that. But at the same time, he needs to be able to go out there and do that because I would have done it. Yes, I'm not saying I'm the best person in the world when it comes to thinking on these kind of things. Okay? But baseball is a totally different sport because it's America's game. And as far as America's game, you cannot show compassion for something that you did to the person. That just goes totally against what I believe America is about. Compassion. Showing that compassion and being able to say, God, I'm sorry. Some of these things got to change. And I don't know if they ever will or not, or however they will or not, but hey, it is what it is. But what we're going to do here, so since we are early, guys, we're going to go into our first break here. Hopefully we'll get Cuervo, got a message out to him. Hopefully he'll get with us and send him over the whoa, as his ears must have been ringing.
Didn't know? Your ass better call somebody.
It's Cuervo on a Sunday afternoon. And Yep, I got the 2 intros going on. That one's my personal favorite. Hey, how you doing, man? Good to see you.
Good to see you, Sonny. How's it going?
I'm fantastic. And I am. I'm back to I feel so good. I went back and rewatched last week's show, and I seen that I was enjoying myself. If we would have done this show, I would have got through it, but I would not have probably enjoyed myself. So, and I feel the same way today. So good stuff. Hey, just really quick, and I don't know. I'm sure you saw it. Especially it made the news big time. Killer gets pummeled with a 94-mile-an-hour fastball that wasn't on purpose. Wouldn't you, as a person that can, maybe I'm wrong, maybe the unwritten rules are just so far over Sonny's head that I can't get it, but and believe me, I know the pitcher felt compassion, but that guy wanted to go off the mound, go up to the guy and say, I'm sorry. Even though that guy probably didn't want him there after getting beaten with the 94-mile-an-hour, I probably would have called him some dirty words, but later on, look back up on it and go, well, that guy's got stones. He came up and he apologized for it. And I'm telling you right now, I think that's what this game is missing. Even though they got the unwritten rules and things of that sort, guys have to be able to show a little humanity in that situation.
Well, I think what it shows too, Sonny, is that there was no intention behind it, because when guys break the unwritten rules, and they don't show any type of I don't even want to say regret, but just kind of
don't care.
Yeah, like they don't care. Then how does anybody believe that you didn't purposely do that?
Exactly.
So I think there's the difference there. Sometimes, like I said, it happens and pitchers will just stand there and be like, what's going to happen next?
Exactly.
And then you got some pitchers like what happened this past week, and you're just like, look, that was a complete accident.
Yep.
I wasn't trying to do anything, intentional, malicious, nothing like that. And, they legitimately, it was a legitimate accident.
Right. And then and the old written rule is you go back and you throw at them. In that instance, especially National League pitchers bat and things like that.
Right.
Which, by the way, I don't know if they ever did or did not throw at him or afterward. Hopefully they didn't, and they hopefully recognize the fact that kid was rocked, by the way. So much so he did one more batter and he couldn't do it. They had to take him out of the game. And which number one, I'm actually really excited about. Recognizing that this kid doesn't have it, not because he can't get the ball across the plate, just mentally not there after something like that. So, hey, I gotta give props to the coaching staff saying, let's get him out for his own good. And that worked out pretty good. So, again, not being able to follow up with it because we worked so much and everything else. I hope everything worked out well on that. And they didn't throw at the pitcher, or a pitcher in general to try to get even. So I don't know if that happened. Do you know if that happened?
No, not that I know of, Sonny. No. So I think it was just a one-time deal.
Good. I hope so.
Yeah, and you know what? Honestly, that's another sign of showing that there was no intention. I mean, if the guy couldn't even mentally regroup himself, to me, I mean that what other sign or indication do you need that shows that that he didn't mean to do what he did, unless the guy, you want to nominate him for an Oscar for an outstanding performance.
That was a great performance, because I watched that whole part of it. Someone sent me the tape and it was just that, and I'm like, hey, that's great. I get it, understand, but I want to see the whole thing. I want to see what led up to it. I want to see the whole at bat, and I was able to see the whole at bat. So because you can only get so much if someone's going to send you a partial tape of what's going on and everything else. So I got to see the whole thing, and I'm actually, normally I'm quick to draw the gun on it, but I took a step back and said, no, let's watch this. Let's see how this goes. And you could tell that kid wanted to come off the mound, but he also understood the unwritten rule, which I wish I probably said it probably wrong. Maybe because he didn't have enough stones to do it, but maybe just didn't have the wherewithal to, take the criticism or understand what kind of criticism he would have had if he did it. So, it's one of those things I would love to see. It. I'd love to be able to see some sportsmanship work in that situation in everybody's case, whether it's the pitcher, the guy that got hit, or whatever the case may be. And if I think if they would have thrown about him, we would have heard about that as well. So I don't think it happened. So let's just keep our fingers crossed that it didn't. Now, Cuervo, guess who is in the news? Our good buddy is in the news.
That was terrible. Crazy knuckleheaded terrible.
Sir, and I say sir because he had a back when I lived in Arizona, he had a sand sculpture of himself. I'm talking about Sir Charles Barkley. Came out and nailed it 100%. But what I really would have wanted to hear is how it would have happened if he was playing, and whether or not that it would have happened when he was playing. But protocol was broken by one LeBron James, and protocol was broken regarding it. Now, interestingly enough, and I just found this out this morning, so I was mad about it when I heard about it, and then it just kind of took another step. Not that I want to know everybody's business, but with the protocols and everything, my mind told me that they were supposed to have the protocol. They were supposed to get it. Well, unbeknownst to me, NBA players are not required to get it. They're not required to say whether or not they got it, and LeBron James has been about it. So, interestingly enough, no indication that he got the shot. I find that interesting. I also find that the NBA is not requiring it, which I would have thought that they would. So really interesting, but parts of me thinks that it should. And then I as much as I look at some people, their rights, they have a right to that kind of stuff. They have the right to privacy, even though I'm not a LeBron James lover. Everybody knows this. I believe he has a right to that privacy. I has a right to believe that if he doesn't want it, he don't have to take it just because he plays in a sport. I'm right there with him. With people who don't want to get it. I don't necessarily want to get into their business. And LeBron James has kept it to himself. Is that good, bad, or indifferent for the NBA? What do you think?
Well, I mean, I think that goes with a lot of high profile professions like being a basketball player. It's a little bit different from when you're in front of cameras or in the spotlight all the time. But it shouldn't be. And what I'm saying is, nobody in this country, I don't care how, if nobody knows you or you're somebody that's, worldwide famous, there are privacy rules, there are privacy acts out there. Yeah, that say that laws that say I don't have to tell you if I'm vaccinated or not.
Right.
That's a very gray area, Sonny. I'll be honest with you.
Yeah.
And I've even experienced it on my end in with what I do, and it's gotten to the point, even for me, it's becoming optional if you've already been vaccinated.
Right.
If you've been vaccinated. If you haven't, then obviously you need to wear a mask still.
Right.
Well, that's all integrity based.
Right. Exactly.
So LeBron, it's got to be an integrity thing.
Yes.
For LeBron, for me, for everybody in the country, everybody around the world, depending on what the laws are.
Right.
We're at that point now with this pandemic where there are solutions to it. But it is on you to have integrity to say, yes, I've protected myself and others and I've gotten vaccinated, or you could just lie about it and because you don't want to wear a mask.
Yep.
So, all I can say is if enough people lie enough and another small spike happens, then guess what? It's going to go right back to what it was before.
Absolutely.
We're going to wait another.
And listen, that wouldn't surprise me with the mentality of some people in this country, you know. And listen, say whatever you want about it. I'll give them the rights all day long, you know. But yeah, and that all goes back to compassion. That all goes back to what you think is right. Or whether or not you care about the situation. Do you care about your neighbors? Do you care about the people you love and all that kind of stuff? And completely understand where the situation is. Now, if I'm not mistaken, and I think I heard you correctly, you said that you had been vaccinated. And we were talking about this last week. I don't hold any ill will against Cuervo, you know, what he does. What I don't like about the new rule from the CDC is it really, if you're going to have the integrity, you put out that you don't have it because you're wearing the mask. Now, me, I wear the mask still. I've been double shotted and I still wear the mask. That's because where I'm at, where I do my work, is in an area that is not an area that has really gotten, you know, everybody involved with the situation. Like, in other words, anybody could just walk up and get it. It's not at that situation. And some of the people in the area where I work and the people I deal with, I don't trust that situation, so I take care of myself. I'll put it out there. I'm doing it for myself because I'm a smorgasbord for that virus, okay? So I've got to protect myself the way I see fit. How someone else does, so that part about the CDC guideline I don't like, because if you are a person of integrity, you're showing that you haven't got it if you're wearing a mask, unless you're like me who still wears it for that reason.
Yeah, and just to clear up, no, I have
privacy is gone. In other words, you know, if you're going to show the integrity,
right? The privacy, as in, like, if you're wearing one, that means you haven't gotten it.
Right.
If you're not wearing one. If you're not wearing one, it's we don't, you know. Can we prove it? No, because we can't violate any privacy laws. But we're just gonna have to trust this person.
Right.
But if you're wearing a mask, then 99% of the time it's because they haven't gotten it. You know, people like you, hey, Sonny, if you choose to still wear it, even though you've been vaccinated, that's, you know, I mean, you're protecting yourself.
Yep.
At this point, you're not worried about giving it to others, because
if I was a young buck like you in great shape like you were, I probably would not worry about it, but I'm not. I am the third trip for the virus to that smorgasbord. So so definitely not. But interestingly enough, though, Sir Charles comes out and says, and I fully agree with him, the NBA does not have the stones to suspend LeBron James, because in reality, if that was anybody else sitting on the bench, as Chuck said, probably would have to go through the protocol, which means if you're around a certain amount of people and you're not vaccinated, you cannot play, you shouldn't play, or whatever. But LeBron James, it's a little bit of different story in reality.
And you know what? This, and you might fall out of your chair, but this is one of the situations where I actually have to defend LeBron on this.
I do. I know. It hurts my feelings. I want to hate on the guy so bad. In fact, so much I wish they would have lost to the Warriors on Wednesday. And I hope the Suns can figure out how to beat them, which, by the way, they're up by 8 at the half right now. So, interestingly enough, so I'm kind of keeping my eye on it. My first game to watch this year was Wednesday. Hopefully the Lakers could lose, bastards. Anyway, and now I'm keeping my eye on the Phoenix Suns situation. I'd love to see him go down, because more in the fact I would love to see not the Lakers. I'd love to see anybody but the Lakers go up against the Nets in reality. Because in reality, I think the Nets, based upon the personnel, based upon what's going on, even though they lost one of the big guys that they ended up getting, I still think that they have the advantage in reality. So, but I'd rather see somebody else than LeBron in reality in that situation. So, I got my eyes on it. And yes, with every little bit of hate, you got to have a little bit of, and I'll tell you. So I'll give him the respect for what he's doing, saying, listen, This is a family matter. My family and I are talking about it and not talking to anybody else about it. And I got mad props for that and respect for him, which if you would have said maybe 2 weeks ago, I would have said, no, I can't stand the guy. And I don't care what he does. Well, here, this is a case where I do actually care. And I'm actually, not that I'm proud of him, but listen, nowadays it's hard to stand up for what you believe in based upon it, because there is a lot of criticism going out to people who decide that they want to go a completely different, direction regarding the virus, regarding the vaccinations and things of that sort.
Yeah, well, and I defend LeBron for a different reason, and the reason I defend LeBron on this is because, I don't know that it's really about, because I heard you mention special privilege.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know that it's because of that. I just think that the NBA made that choice to not suspend him. It wasn't LeBron. I don't think LeBron bribed anybody. I don't think LeBron, he didn't rebuttal or what's the word I'm looking for, where you can try to, lower your suspension.
Manipulate the system in order to get what you want.
Yeah, and I don't think LeBron did any of that.
No, the NBA did this, Cuervo, because, listen, right now it's the playoffs, and what's it about?
Ratings.
Ratings and money.
Ratings and money, that's it.
And you got LeBron. If you don't have LeBron in game number 1 against the Suns today, no one's watching this game. Now, I wasn't watching them because I was watching indoor football from the games last night. I couldn't watch 5 games all at once. Well, I could have, but I just didn't want to. I just wanted to watch.
You know how much, Sonny? You know how much NBA playoffs I'm probably going to watch.
I'm not going to actually watch it.
Yeah, it's the same shape as what a donut looks like.
But I'm going to put that little asterisk, that little design above the number 8 on the keyboard, little asterisk. I'll watch them in elimination games because I want to be able to say, I watched it go down and I loved it, because I watched every minute of that Clippers game or the Warrior game, and it didn't happen for me. So. But I'll watch elimination games. If the Suns get up, and get ready to eliminate, I'll watch all those games until either they actually do eliminate him or he wins over and moves on to the next round. But I won't be watching game number 1, game number 2, game number 3. I'll be watching 4 if they close it out. And I know that sounds horrible, but it's really simple. When you don't like someone or you got some mad hate for them, it's human nature to see them want to go down. And LeBron James is, and it's this. Listen, I'm telling you right now, I can look at LeBron James' talent and love his talent, but it's the arrogance and things like that. And I know people say, well, Sonny, you're looking at it as arrogance, and it's not. No, it is, because I'm from the old school, and that's showing someone up. Look at me. It's showing someone up. You can't tell me differently. I know you think differently, but you can't tell me from the old school, because someone did that to me. Let me just put it. I played basketball, and someone actually did that in front of me. Not only would I have been thrown out of the game, I probably would have been suspended, because I wouldn't let him disrespect me or my team to do that. So that's where the old school mentality was. I would have went Bill Laimbeer on his ass and took him completely out. But new school, I gotta understand the young mind, because you don't think this is disrespect. You just think it as entertainment.
I mean, it's supposed to be entertainment.
Supposed to be. Okay.
It's supposed to be. I think it's a little. Well, it's played out. I guess that's the way to say it.
Yeah.
He's been doing that same routine for 18 years that he's been in the league now. And I know what people are gonna say. Oh, Cuervo, your boy Michael Jordan did it. No, he did not.
No,
he used to chalk up his hands, but all he would do is clap them like a normal clap.
Yeah,
and he would always tease the late Johnny Red Kerr, rest his soul, who used to announce Bulls games, and he would pour the chalk on his hands. He'd go up in front of Johnny Red Kerr, he'd slap the chalk, and it would kind of it would kind of cloud.
That was a motivational thing for himself more so than look at me.
Yes,
and
right.
I'm telling you that right now. And by the way, guys, we're doing one when it comes to that incident compared to LeBron James. That's keeping it real right there, because there's a huge difference between the way LeBron does it and the way that Michael Jordan did it. Like you said, right in front of the announcer, he was keeping it between them and firing up him and the announcer. Listen, I'm telling you right now, no one announced the starting lineup better than Kerr did. I'm telling you right now, because that's what it was. And that was a Michael Jordan thing. He wasn't just firing up himself or his team. He was getting to the announcer and firing him up to get ready for it. And that is the difference.
And you know that speaking of Ray Clay was the guy that would do the stadium announcing.
Mm-hmm.
People have actually in the Chicago area. Now, I don't know if he went outside of Chicago ever.
I don't think he did.
But speaking of him, people used to hire him.
Yes.
To do announcing for like weddings
mm-hmm.
and parties and stuff
he
like
made
that.
a bundle doing that.
Oh yeah, I've seen.
He was the Michael Buffer. He was the Michael Buffer. So if you didn't get Michael Buffer, he was your second pick. At least because of the '90s. The '90s was Michael Buffer. You say whatever you want, and
he still got it going.
He still got exactly. You know, sometimes you got the hook, and you got to make your money some way. And listen, those were words.
His brother Bruce does UFC announcing.
Yeah, exactly. So, interestingly enough, and I love the roundabout stories. People say, Sonny, how can you do this show? But matter of fact, I had a friend of mine. They said, Sonny, do you realize you were on air for 4 hours? I said, well, yeah, I do. It was actually 4 hours and 17 minutes, but we weren't on for 3 weeks. So, but still, he said, my God, we find a roundabout way, and we'll start talking about it. And before we're talking about, we've gone on to something and completely circled around to this. It's what makes this show great, and we've been doing it for years. But obviously,
we don't follow a schedule. So
yeah. Oh, good God! If that been so, I would have played the commercial when you came on. I was like, no, he's here. Let's just hop into this, But by the way, lots of things to talk about. As far as what I had all said, the LeBron James thing just came up because I literally about 25 minutes before air saw that, and I was like, okay, we'll lead with that. But lots of things we want to talk about. Aaron Rodgers' comparison to a certain player. You'll like this. I also got a couple of emails asking me. So get ready, because we're going to do something a little outside the box here. Okay, asked us, because I'm in the Dallas area, to go ahead and look at the Dallas Cowboys. What do you think? They won't be watching live. They'll be back watching it afterwards. But so we are going to talk about the Dallas Cowboys, and we're not just playing to the time. I got the request, and we're not just playing because I'm in Dallas. I know you don't need much to go on this, so that's the reason why I can throw it on you and go there. We're going to talk a little bit about your boy, your man, your guy. You got some mad love for a quarterback that's not even the quarterback. Maybe, I don't know if he'll still be on there. Gardner Minshew. We're going to talk about Gardner Minshew. Yeah. I know you've got some mad love for him. To me, yeah, especially now. Have you seen him lately? He looks like a porn star. I mean, he's got that mustache, that motorcycle mustache thing going on now. So interesting enough, we'll talk about them. We'll also talk about the other guy that is in the news big time as far as being in the trade rumors, Mr. Julio Jones. We'll be talking a little bit about him and wide receivers in general in the NBA.
First is coming.
Yeah, hey, say whatever you want. Lots of interesting stuff on that. Also, the Bengals, where are they at? Are they really competitive? Are they really going to be in there? We'll talk about that. So we are going to go ahead and do the first break, because guess what? I'm out of coffee. So that's number one. That's just not right. And number two, I'll hit the head while I do it, and then we'll hit on, and we'll go for about an hour and a half before we hit our second break that we're going to do. Also, we'll talk a little Jalen Hurts. Lots of stuff on the smorgasbord here. That is the afternoon edition of the Couch Potato Sports Show. Make sure you hang out for it. It's going to be a lot of fun, and we'll get a lot of different takes in reality, especially coming from you and things like that. So we'll do that. We'll take the quick break here on the Couch Potato Sports Show. When we come back, we'll go Aaron Rodgers. We'll start up there because we kind of started with it last week. Lots of more stuff to talk about. We'll do that when we come back here on the Couch Potato Sports Show. And that being said,
this is Sonny Clark, radio voice of your Rowlett Eagles, letting you know about RowlettFood.com. Do you want to have dinner delivered but you don't want to use Uber Eats? Contact someone locally that can do the same thing at a better price and faster. All you have to do is pick a restaurant on the list at the website, tell us what you'd like to order, then check out, and you'll have your food within 25 to 45 minutes, depending on distance. Check out RowlettFoods.com for your next meal at Raising Cane's, Golden Pie, Ponchos and Lefty, and more. Give us a call at 972-408-8002 or check us out on the web at RowlettFood.com. This is Sonny Clark, radio voice of your Rowlett Eagles, letting you know about Landon Huey and 19 Ministries.
One of the things we want to do is we have this idea, the name that's kind of sticking right now is Rowlett Revival. And we know that there are a lot of hurting and broken people across the city. Out of a population of 60,000, there's close to 40,000 that aren't saved. And we want to do like a Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday where we'll bring in a guest speaker, and he's just going to share the love of Christ. And we want to connect people in the city up with churches, and where they can find a healthy church family and find people that believe in them and find a God that loves them. Jesus came for a broken world, and man, he loves and cares for everybody in the city. And so we're excited about that. We're working through details right now, but our vision is to see God's going to reach a lot of people.
So make sure you contact Landon Huey at 19 Ministries at 972-835-8665 or check them out on the web at 19ministries.org or uniterowlett.org. This is Sonny Clark, radio voice of your Rowlett Eagles, asking, are you looking for a new home? Want to know what your house could sell for in today's market? Then you need to contact Realtor Jeremy Morgan with Ray Hubbard Real Estate Group at Keller Williams Rockwall. Whether you're buying, selling, leasing, or investing, he can help you get where you need to be. Visit RayHubbardRealEstateGroup.com or make an appointment today by calling 214-236-2914. That's 214-236-2914. Jeremy Morgan with Ray Hubbard Real Estate Group, Keller Williams Rockwall. Find out how Merchant Masters DFW, specializing in small business companies, can help you save money and protect your customers' information with our credit card processing and point-of-sale systems. In 95% of our cases, our services save our clients money. So, what makes Merchant Masters DFW different from all the others? It's an integrity-first approach to each client we work with so you receive the very best, including financial savings, lowest possible rates, superior technology, and improved support. So claim your free audit at merchantmastersdfw.com or contact John Beeman at 262-339-5470 for more information. That's 262-339-5470. Merchant Masters DFW, different from all the rest.
Ever want to know why Bill and I look so great on our broadcast? Check out K West Designs on Facebook to find out why. Check out all the samples that Kelly has got up so you can see, especially if you have that special occasion that needs something original, something designed, something that just says, this is our moment. Check out K West Designs on Facebook or give her a call at 469-601-5856. That's 469-601-5856. Again, K West Designs. Make yourself look original or different or just something just for you. K West Designs. OIWA and SOAR Championship Wrestling presents Friday, June 18th, SOAR Mania 2 as the Undeniable Rockstars and DJ Brown, as well as MLW superstars Alexander Hammerstone and Gino Medina in action. Also, the OIWA International Heavyweight Champion Dante Smiley takes on Austin Aries. This and much more at SOAR Mania 2, June 18th at 7:30.
Couch Potato Sports Show as we are set and ready to go. So excited as maybe I got enough sleep. Hell, I don't know. But as we kick this one off a little bit later, 3:30 kickoff. Working a little bit with Cuervo's schedule, and I didn't mind. I just sat around, watched indoor football. Congratulations to my buddy, my color commentator, who is the special teams coach for the Spokane Shock. The Shock get their first victory of the season last night. Congratulations to Bill. Big time move here. He had what is called a penalty in the bank. Okay, what that means is there was a penalty before the kickoff that was unsportsmanlike on the team they were kicking off to. And they were behind. And in the indoor game, if you know anything about it, a good onside kick, if you're able to get it, you're within scoring distance. However, if they didn't get it, they get 10 yards on the kick, and then they get the 15 yards because of the penalty that was in the bank. So after they got the ball at the 10 yards, they marched back, and as far as the penalty was concerned, and before you know it, they were back at their own 20-yard line. Remember, it's a 50-yard field, so midfield stripe is the 25, which in turn, first play of the other teams with the interception scores a touchdown, and that did it for the Shock. Congratulations to my buddy. And this guy traveled to Massachusetts, hopped the plane, and went to Boston, and so he could be there to coach that game. Congratulations. I wish him luck and good, safe travels because he's heading his way home today. So now, that being said, that right there, okay, name of this show. We talked last week about Aaron Rodgers because, guys, this guy has been in so much news, it's unbelievable. I mean, you cannot almost go anywhere without seeing Aaron Rodgers in the news. Whether it be, guess what? He is a host of Jeopardy. Will he end up getting it? Which he won't. Which, by the way, but still. And also, the problems regarding, is this guy really got his head in the game to play for the Packers? Are the Packers really interested, even though they said they are not interested in moving him? Are they really interested in moving with him and getting ready for the Jordan Love era? Now, when we went back and I looked at the show last week and what we were talking about, I'm still of the opinion that Aaron Rodgers, if any of this is true and all the things that are being talked about as far as him and him not coming out and saying that, I got a problem with it. I think it is, and I'm just going to go back to high school days. It's just a wuss move. If you cannot stand up for what you believe or what you want to say about a certain situation, regardless of the situation, then if you can't come out and say something yourself, you need to grow a backbone. You need to grow a set. I'll send you a package of grow a set, and then you can do it. But the problem is that Aaron Rodgers is not talking and everybody else is. And every football, beat writer is talking about it. Every football expert, such as ourselves, I use expert loosely, are talking about Aaron Rodgers and what should, could, why it should go down. Now, Aaron Rodgers is a big story. He's regardless. I mean, he won the MVP. Listen, you can say whatever you want about Aaron Rodgers, okay? But one thing you can't say is the guy doesn't have talent. You cannot say that. The guy wins the MVP multiple times. He's a Super Bowl winning caliber quarterback. Should he have won more? Maybe so, maybe not. We can always argue that debate. But my question about Aaron Rodgers is why he is not a guy that will stand up or stand on his own backbone. And this is a problem for me. When I think about Aaron Rodgers, I want to hear from Aaron Rodgers on every one of the things that we are talking about regarding Aaron Rodgers. I want to hear from him. I want to hear from the horse's mouth. Now, granted, I don't think, and I could be wrong, Cuervo, I don't think that the experts are getting it wrong or anything. I believe exactly what they're saying to certain extents. And if you want to go out and go on a limb and take a story a little bit further than you really should, I believe that happens. But I'm going to tell you, 80% of probably what's being talked about is what Aaron Rodgers is thinking. But there's still something about hearing it from the horse's mouth.
Yeah, and I mean, it kind of makes you wonder, like, should Aaron speak up, or do you think he's doing the smart thing and just kind of holding, kind of like waiting, being patient, let everyone say what they want to say, and when everybody's done, criticizing him or whatever, and then he fires back.
Yeah,
and says, okay.
I never said that.
You never said, or you said A, B, and C about me, but here's the reality of it, and just kind of make people look kind of dumb.
Mm-hmm.
And because it's sometimes the saying is, the first one to speak loses in like an argument or a debate, or with situations like this where people want to criticize Rodgers. And I can't believe I'm defending Aaron Rodgers, but look, this is not about Bears Packers. I don't like it. This is just talking.
You have biases, but they're not really seeping in here.
Yeah, I'm not trying to be biased about it at all. Do I hate the fact that he's a quarterback for the team I hate the most? Yeah, I do. But that's not what this is about. This is more about, he's getting all this criticism, and people are starting to get on him now because he's not speaking up. He's not defending himself.
Right.
And maybe again, maybe he's playing his cards the right way. Maybe he is being smart about it, and he's just waiting back and waiting for everybody to finish saying what they got to say, and then he's going to come out and he's going to talk.
Cuervo, I'm going to take you back in the time.
Back in the time, okay?
When you first came on the show, this was 11 years ago. It's one of the biggest guys that Sonny had some mad hate for. Still don't. I now have respect, but still don't like him very much.
Mm-hmm.
But one of the guys that was actually really smart, where people were demanding to hear from him, was one guy I could not stand as a human being. His name was Chad. His name was Chad Johnson. Chad Ochocinco Johnson. Okay. And if you remember correctly, back in the day, I don't know what year it was. I remember us talking about it. And obviously it was in the news. Obviously, with what we do, we got to comment on the news that we were getting. Okay. Now, granted, Chad, and I go back to Chad Ochocinco. If you don't remember the story, he was accused of hitting his wife, and didn't answer one word to it. Did not. And it come to find out, after everything settled months later, didn't lay one finger on her. So it very smart, but obviously a little bit different situation. This was domestic, as off the field, but he was so smart about not saying something. So I go to the fact that parts of me, obviously with what we do here on the show, we want to hear from Aaron Rodgers.
Oh, yeah.
Aaron, we want to hear, but also we go back to the COVID thing. I respect the privacy, respect the fact that, hey, let people speculate on whatever they want to do. Let them believe whatever they want to believe, and we'll go from there. And right now, though, seeing how this is a different situation, this is not about Aaron Rodgers hitting around Danica Kirkpatrick. Oh, what? They broke up. I forgot about that. Yeah, they broke up. Or his significant other. We're not getting that story. This is about business. This is about football.
Yeah, no, it is.
And sometimes in business, it's best to keep your mouth shut, regardless what is being said. And I think that's what people such as us, or people who are reporting that are demanding to hear from Aaron Rodgers, are forgetting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. And that's what I'm saying is I think he's doing the right thing. I think he's playing this smart by
I think he is too.
By staying quiet and just let everybody say what they're going to say, and when you're finished, I'm going to make you look dumb.
Yes.
And that's what I think Rodgers is doing. So I personally, I'm not in a rush to hear from Aaron Rodgers.
Yep.
Sometimes I kind of forget about the story in reality, just because it's May. It's not football season right now.
We're not even in training camp at the end of July yet, you know.
Yeah. And so it's like, I mean, should this really be a really huge topic? I think the thing we're going to talk about next concerning the NFL is a bigger topic than this Aaron Rodgers situation.
However, let's don't go there yet because I don't want to waste the slide. They take time to make, so I'm not going to waste the slide.
Don't waste it.
Yeah, so we're not going to do it. But interestingly enough, think about who Aaron Rodgers is. Multiple MVP, Super Bowl champion, considered a GOAT, right, Cuervo? I mean, considered a GOAT. You know, and sometimes we anoint these guys a little bit too fast. But I don't think in Aaron Rodgers' situation, until I found something that was actually interesting. And I'll put this up so you can take a look at it. And it was such the contrast of who it was, the team it was, and what was going on. And, the only player in the league with 4,000 yards with 10 or fewer interceptions for the last 3 seasons, there are only 2. And you're seeing Aaron Rodgers there on the left, and then one Derek Carr from the Raiders on the other side. I mean, Cuervo, think about this. I mean, say whatever you want about, Aaron Rodgers, but I mean, those are impressive stats from it, but you're looking at Derek Carr. Now, we've been talking a little bit about John Gruden, which we'll get a little bit more into in the show. Mm-hmm. But talking about John Gruden, how he's taken over, 10 million year man, coach this team. What have, we always talk about it in the NFL is what have you done for me lately? But when you're a $10 million man and you got so when I looked at your number one with John Gruden and Derek Carr, this was a disaster in reality. But go back to the slide, he threw 4,000 yards, which is impressive. And I think anything over 3,900, 3,800 is impressive. Mm-hmm. So, but the number that I look at probably better is the 10 or fewer interceptions. 10 or fewer interceptions coming from a guy on a football team where they were desperate to score, Cuervo. You could not, for the life of you, get the Raiders to score and win football games. And the difference between awards and everything else, I went through his pedigree and what he had done. Derek Carr's nowhere near that except that stat right there. Do you think of Derek Carr as an Aaron Rodgers type of player, even after seeing that kind of stat sitting in front of you?
No, I mean, obviously I don't. Do I think
is that just a John Gruden trying to up, get something behind his guy? Do you think John Gruden believes that he's an Aaron Rodgers kind of guy?
I think in front of cameras he believes that, yeah. I mean, people are going to say the right things at the right time for the right reasons.
Yes, and yep.
So.
Yep, and he's got a habit of doing that because look what he just said. Also, John Gruden, stop the presses. John Gruden's talking, but listen. What he says.
I'll be honest with you. I agree with this statement a little more than I do the Derek Carr statement or the Derek Carr comparison to Aaron Rodgers. Because if you notice, it says MVP caliber. It's not. He's not saying like, I'm gonna bet my whole paycheck that Josh Jacobs wins the MVP next year. Now, if he was to say that, I'd be like, well, that's going to suck. You're not going to get paid next year.
Yeah,
So,
well,
but
no, no. If he made that statement, you would have done this. You would have
I
been.
would have went Bryce on.
Yeah. Which, by the way, Bryce, you got to get on this. I miss you, my man. You got to get on the show. But that's what you would have thought. There ain't no question about it. Because I would be, or we would have just turned around and did the money and just had a great laugh about it. But I get what he's saying. But guess what? Running backs are not an MVP caliber, because if that had been the case, that would have happened last year. Again, how many times did we have 2,000-yard rushers out there?
Derrick Henry.
And Derrick Henry doing exactly what he did. And again, listen, I guess maybe I'm sick of seeing quarterbacks win the MVP. Maybe. It puts way too much value on them, and that's the reason why. But listen, say whatever you want about the Tennessee Titans. They would not be where it is. And by the way, that also being said, Ryan Tannehill would not be playing as well as he is. Because let's be honest, if they didn't have a running game, Ryan Tannehill would be the Ryan Tannehill we seen down in Miami.
Yeah, no, you're right, Sonny. And I think the only way that a non-quarterback wins is it's got to be something where they not just break a record in their position category, they got to shatter it. So like for a running back to win it, like say if Derrick Henry rushes for 2,500 yards next year, right, and he gets like 25 touchdowns, so touchdown for every 100 yards. I don't see how he doesn't win the MVP.
Exactly.
Because what quarterbacks are doing now is actually, and it's going to sound crazy, but I haven't seen any, just earth-shattering numbers from a quarterback. The new standard is now it's 45 to 5,000 yards.
Yep.
35 to 40 touchdowns.
Yep.
And 15 picks, interceptions.
Or less. Yep.
Now, if they were to hit, let's say, 6,000 yards, like you can't deny that.
Right.
But I think now that because it's such a quarterback-driven league, it's almost like people.
What more can they do?
People would be an outrage if you don't give it to a quarterback. People would complain. I mean, it would just be a mess.
Yes.
So I think that's why you see quarterbacks tend to win it every single year, even though, it's funny because you'll see a quarterback win the MVP, but then you'll see Derrick Henry, for example, win Offensive Player of the Year. What's the difference?
Right.
I've never understood that, Sonny. That's something we've never talked about on this show.
Well, the reason why is supposedly the MVP could be a defensive player as well, so you have to separate it.
And that has happened. That has happened where a defensive player has won MVP.
Right. But I think twice, right? Or 3 times.
Well, I know the last one, if I'm not mistaken, was Lawrence Taylor. Yeah.
This goes back into the day. I'll find. Hey, Google knows everything. So let's see if MVP NFL. So Google should have the answer as I pull it up. All right. So here we go. Well, so. It's really kind of pushing me just to who won the MVP on the defensive side of the ball, the defensive MVP. But I cannot seem to find right away anyway the full MVP being the defensive player. So. Interestingly enough, as I was looking for this, Cuervo, I ran across this. The odds for defensive players to win the MVP are not even close to anybody. The wide receiver and running back have a better chance of winning the MVP than a defensive player. So it's very hard for him. So I see how the defensive player of the year is a big thing. The MVP on the defensive side of the ball. I see where that is there. So I'll see if I can find it within our realms when we're talking to see if I can still find that. But I will tell you, though, when you talk MVPs and you talk guys, you talk about the importance of that player. And we talk about it all the time on the show. Number one, quarterback. Number two is either backup quarterback or offensive line. I think it's offensive line and then backup quarterback. But teams don't draft that way. Teams don't do things when they're looking at what they need for their football team. And I was thinking, we'll talk about this when we talk about Dallas, though, backup quarterback, how important it would be for the team. Forget about Dak Prescott. Dak Prescott coming off an injury, and the fact they don't have still really a backup quarterback in Dallas is a big problem that could take over a team. Not Andy Dalton. Andy Dalton doesn't have, we can call it, just as much as I call it a step-up number 2 wide receiver, you need a step-up guy that can play that position, that has played it, and should be able to do it. Washington Redskins picked up Ryan Fitzpatrick. So he's so damn good that he might end up starting there more so than being a backup.
Right.
So the value of what you're doing and how you look at the season is very important. And the Dallas Cowboys have something very important to be looking at as far as where they're going to go as far as Dak Prescott. And I say that because, and maybe we'll just kind of ease into the Dallas talk. Dak Prescott, when you take a look at this guy, remember, coming off the injury, and this is off of it, but how important is the backup quarterback? Well, let's take a look at it in Dak Prescott's position. With Dak, weeks 1 through 4, the points that were being scored. Now, granted, that number, and this is where watch the damn game comes very important. Okay, they were behind in this game. They could have been considered what were considered garbage points, but nevertheless, they were still 31 points being scored by Dak Prescott in the first 4 games. 410 yards per game. All right, and yards close to 8. That's incredible anyway. 9 touchdowns to 3 interceptions. Without Dak, look at how drastic those numbers go down. I mean, hugely down. So when you see that number, even though if they might have been tainted a little bit because of garbage yards and everything else, you do have to ask the question. Oh, I hit the wrong button. Go back down here. Sorry. Where is he? There he is. You've got to ask the question, if Dak can stay healthy, how can the Dallas Cowboys not win the NFC East? I mean, really, Cuervo, you think about this. All right. You got the Redskins right now who don't have a real quarterback. Let's be honest. If you're starting Fitzpatrick, let's just say he is going to start, that can't build you through a lot of confidence to make it to the playoffs. Giants, with what's going on with Jones at the quarterback position, will he or will he not? He's in that year. We're going to find out if Jones can get the job done. It'll be this year. And then you got Jalen Hurts, which we'll talk about here in just a moment. But considering that division of football, Dak is not just the best quarterback in that division. It's by far he is the better quarterback than any of those quarterbacks within this division.
Yeah, no, and I'm with you, Sonny. I mean, I nothing against, Fitzpatrick or Jalen Hurts or Daniel Jones. But I think, we really have to just be honest about it. I don't care how much you hate the Dallas Cowboys or love the Dallas Cowboys. Dak Prescott's the best quarterback in that division.
Without question.
When he's healthy, he's probably, I could make the argument, he's a top 5 quarterback.
Absolutely. I'm in full agreement, and I was doing that through the first 4 weeks, even though they were having a hard time winning football game because of defensive woes. We'll talk about that here in just a moment. But that they were not winning football games because of Dak Prescott before he got hurt. It was because of a sad defense that was not showing up. But when you talk about other guys, within the division, Jalen Hurts, I don't know if it's going to be anointed on him. I don't know what's going to be going on, but take a look at this one. I found this one while I was out looking. As far as the games that this rookie started, he started in week number 14, finished out the season, except that last game. I just throw that out. That last game makes me so mad I can't even talk about it. But against the Saints, look at the numbers: 167 passing, rushing 106, one touchdown. As far as that is concerned, Week 15 against the Cardinals kind of tells me a little bit about the Cardinals' woes too on the defensive side. 338 yards, rushing 63, and then Week 16's against the Cowboys. The Cowboys, 342 yards and 69 rushing yards. Listen, Cuervo, you could argue, okay, maybe not intelligently or maybe not enough, but Cuervo, you can actually talk about Jalen Hurts being kind of like a Lamar Jackson kind of thing, although obviously with less games going on. Oh, Cuervo's in the black. But, Jalen Hurts has got the Lamar Jackson look right now. The question is he like Lamar Jackson? In other words, after the first year that people got an opportunity to see Lamar Jackson, what did he do in year two? We'll get a sample of what Jalen Hurts can do within a division that is set up for him to really be successful.
Yeah, and I think obviously with drafting Devontae Smith,
right,
is going to be such a big help. I mean,
big time.
I felt that one, Sonny. I felt that pick when the Eagles drafted him. It just going into the draft, I was like, I could just feel it. I was like, he's going to be a Philadelphia Eagle. I can see it. And I just had that gut feeling that the Eagles were going to do everything they could to get him. And they
what pick did they have? They were at pick number 6 or 7, weren't they?
No, I'm sorry. Yeah, they were at 6.
Yeah, 6.
Yeah. And they went and they grabbed them at 6. So, it was, to me, it was the right fit for the Eagles, for the offense that they run. It's a good fit for them. So having him with Jalen Reagor, and then you have I think Miles Sanders at running back. There's a lot of speed on this team, Sonny.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, Jalen Hurts really has to work on his accuracy and the timing of routes with these guys, or else it's going to be a long season for the Eagles. So that's what needs to happen.
Absolutely. And you can say whatever you want about him. Guys are talking about what Smith brings to the team, and what he can bring to the team, which makes you think, you think about it, Cuervo. Could you imagine if he ended up with the Baltimore Ravens and a weapon that could have been that? I mean, I just step back and wonder what the Ravens are doing right now by not getting the weapon. Lamar Jackson is a weapon in himself, but if you give him another weapon, and I'm talking about a full-fledged guy, whether it be a free agent stud or pull him out the rookies like a CeCe Lamb down in Dallas. Okay, you got Lamb down there. Guy, an impact player like that. And we talked about it. We could be talking about the Ravens as maybe a Super Bowl contender, possibly a favorite to get there, because they're really, you say whatever you want, they're always going to have that defense, but they don't have the money maker that seals the deal for them. Lamar Jackson is a money maker, but it doesn't seal the deal. Kind of leaves the end of the bag open. What's the name of that Ziploc?
Yeah, Ziploc bag
open there a little bit because you didn't close it all the way and you didn't get the weapon in order for it. And that's the reason why. But when you look at the Dallas Cowboys, this is a football team that seems, God, and we talk about it every year and we get sick of it, right? Cuervo, last thing we want to talk about in reality is talk about the Dallas Cowboys. They take over the airwaves and they always got something, whether it's Dak, whether it's this, whether it's the draft or whatever. All off season, where people are talking Dallas Cowboys, Dallas Cowboys, Dallas Cowboys. Why is that? Well, it's because the personnel on paper. Okay, paper is great, isn't it, Cuervo? Because and this is the classic right here. You could take this piece of paper and you got some great paper, but as soon as they start playing, it starts this. It starts wadding up into nothing, and you're just throwing it away. That's what the Dallas Cowboys have been for years and years and years. And with what they do, whether it's do they got the right guy at this position? Should they get the guy? Where's the offensive line? All you can look at all that, and you got the Dallas Cowboys in the top 5 of everything except the defense. Because let's be honest, the reason why the Dallas Cowboys really have not been all that great is not necessarily because of the offense; it's because of their defensive was, whether it be in the secondary and stopping vital drives in order to win a football game. That's where they have been lacking totally, but what I like as far as what's going on, I was weeks, I don't know if you remember, but I had the Dallas Cowboys win this division of football last year, but not only by a little, but by far. And I didn't asterisk this, but it sure as nothing. If Dak Prescott don't make it through the years, they ain't getting anywhere because they don't know how to play without him. They don't have the proper backup, and that's what you get. But they also got other problems as well, Cuervo. If you look at the running game for the Dallas Cowboys, they got Elliott. I mean, so let's throw it up. Let's take a look at it. And you can see where these numbers are going, Cuervo. Take away 2019, okay? Take away that year. We're talking not just going down. He's sliding out of his greatness after his second year. He slid to the 10th spot in the ranking. Came back after signing the big contract, Cuervo, that got him back into camp, and he slid down to 17th. And if you're a Dallas Cowboy fan, especially thinking that Ezekiel Elliott might be your ace in the hole, I don't know if you want to do that right now.
Yeah. I mean, it is starting to raise some questions. He's only been in the league for 5 years, but as you saw in that chart, his numbers have declined. His performance has declined. Now, I don't know if it's an injury thing or is it just a performance thing? Was he just looking to get his big payday and then he's gone? Or his
coordinators figured him out.
Well, I mean, I think it's more that the defensive coordinators figured out the Cowboys' run game, their run scheme, and on top of all that, the offensive line has gotten worse over the past 4 to 5 years. And so is that really, I mean, I can't put that on Zeke Elliott. So, and there you go. You see it right there in the projected starting offensive line.
Listen, Tyron Smith is a walking mash unit. I'm telling you right now. And if you look at it, it's a 7-time Pro Bowler for Tyron Smith, and this guy is projected to start. And listen, you say whatever you want about this guy. Okay, he has been a guy where you can't depend on him being in that lineup. He has become a liability on the offensive line. Say whatever you want. Now, he's going to sign the big contract, get the money to come. But looking at the rest of it, I like to call him badass, right there, taking over for their stud at the center position. He's got 4 starts underneath his belt. He's got to take away and be better than the Wisconsin guy. His name's slipping my mind, but the stud that they reached for him in the first round. He was probably a 3rd rounder. Boy, did they find the diamond in the rough, which you don't happen very often. But Zach Martin, also 4-time first pro All-American. Guess what? He's got an injury problem as well. And listen, I'm not a Collins fan at all, but he is projected to be the starter at right tackle. And I'm telling you right now, I don't think that's great. So like you said, their offensive line is a walking mash unit. One of those guys, listen, compared to him, completely healthy, listen, that's a quality offensive line. But you're not going to get healthy all 17 weeks of the season on that offensive line. And who knows, it might happen in week number 1, week number 2, where you lose not 1, maybe 2 of those guys. And then all of a sudden you are scrambling to figure out a way to make sure that Dak Prescott doesn't go down because of injury.
Yep. And if that happens again, Sonny, then it's gonna be that same situation with the Cowboys where, and it's even worse this year because their backup quarterback is It's
does Google even know, Cuervo?
I don't even think Google knows, because guess what? Andy Dalton is not in Dallas anymore. He's he's in the 2021-22 Super Bowl champion Chicago Bears.
Oh God, are you ready for this? Google does know.
Google does know. Oh,
and it's scary because I've never even heard of one of them.
Did it crash your computer though?
It almost my computer screen. It might, you know how that crack goes across your windshield. Yeah, Ben Nuicci, and the spelling is D-I capital N-U-C-C-I. Never heard of him.
I'm not even. You know what? For the sake of this show, Sonny, I'm not even going to try to pronounce his name. I'm not going to try.
I say Dinichi is what I think. I might be wrong.
It could be. It could be.
And then the number 3, the projected, Garrett Gilbert. Okay.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
Garrett Gilbert, and if I'm not mistaken, wasn't he a Cleveland Brown?
Yeah, but
I think he was a Cleveland Brown.
He played his ball. He played his college ball here.
Right.
So I think that's why they signed him.
And the fourth backup is the guy that's been on the practice squad on the regular, Cooper Rush, which that guy's useless as a turd in a swimming pool. So if you're the Dallas Cowboys, you better get on that Tim Tebow prayer machine and start praying to make sure that Dak Prescott doesn't go down.
Get down on one knee.
Big time. Because listen, that's almost, well, no, it's not. It's not even as bad as the Denver Bronco quarterback situation. That's bad. That's real bad. But at least you got Dak Prescott. Matter of fact, I think your lady would love to have some Dak Prescott at the quarterback position as well.
She really likes Dak Prescott.
Yes.
She thinks that he's a very good quarterback.
Absolutely. Yeah. So right there, that tells you a little bit about where Dallas is in reality. But you think about the things that are stopping the Dallas Cowboys from being good. It's usually the offensive line, or that freaking defense, Cuervo, is god awful. I swear to God, you look at it, who could? I mean, you look at the numbers: 29 points, ranked 28th. These are numbers that were allowed last year. It's second to last, or no, mark that
running game.
Teams, but that's,
and you know what? And that's why they drafted Micah Parsons from Penn State. And I think he's going to be a stud.
Yeah, he should be. Should be a stud.
Very good together.
Without question, should be the stud. But at the same time, think about this when you're looking at them. Pass yards allowed, 11th is their best. Okay, and that means they're okay defending the pass. But you also got to remember they have 6 games with NFC East opponents, so that's bad enough. 31, the sacks ranked 20th, 17th for takeaways. The Dallas Cowboys defensively are the reason why we're not consistently talking about the Dallas Cowboys making their way into the playoffs. Not just getting there, but getting to the second or third round.
Well, yeah, I mean, because again, and that it showed right there in that graphic. In the playoffs, you got to be able to stop the run.
Stop. Yep.
You have to stop the run. And
by the way, and I don't know the number, Cuervo, their third down percentage getting off the field is god awful. That team could not stop anybody on third down and save their life or win a football game. If the game was on the line, they had to get a stop on third down. It wouldn't happen for them. They're god awful on third down. They're always on the field, and it shows because you look at the numbers. It's the fatigue factor because they're always on the freaking field because the offense can't stay out there either because you don't have Dak Prescott sustaining offensive drives, keeping them to where they can get some oxygen before they got to get right back out on the football field. So, so looking at all of them, and then the last thing, as far as Dallas is concerned, when you look at it, the wide receivers, their wide receiver core could be the best in the NFL in reality. But, and this is a big but, and I'm not talking about BUT. This is a big BUTT. Okay, you have Lamb, who should be taking over this team, but you also got Michael Gallup, who should be, I think he's in his third year. He should be the number one guy. But you got Amari Cooper, and listen, I hate to say this because sometimes I have a habit of being wrong. Okay. It's a very common thing for me. But sometimes when you look at Amari Cooper, this guy looks disinterested all the time. I mean, even when he was with the Raiders, and he was super bad with the Raiders, let's be honest. But this is a guy who doesn't show any emotion, hardly ever. Now, granted, you think about Walter Payton. Walter Payton, when he scored a touchdown, he didn't slam the ball down. He handed it off to the referee. But that's after proving him, this guy proved himself. He proved himself. Amari Cooper catches the ball, and there's nothing. He's flat. Whereas you got CeeDee Lamb out there doing what they're doing. And the other dude, this team right here is 1 year away because I don't think they're going to be able to keep Amari Cooper at the money he's making. He's making $20 million a year. $20 million, Cuervo. That's a lot of money. And listen, when you're trying to save some money in order to help with other positions, you're going to have to figure out sooner or later, is the guy going to be able to get the job done? So then going to more of the looks at the Dallas Cowboys and wide receivers, let me see where this is at. There it is. Look at the money that's out there. Okay, Julio Jones at $23 million for Atlanta. Okay, this guy's making some big bucks. We'll get to him in a minute because we're going to be talking about him. But Amari Cooper at $22 million, you think about those numbers, okay? And looking at other guys that are behind him. Look at Devontae Davis only at 16. Listen, out of everybody on that list, Cuervo, guess what's going to happen? Devontae Adams, he's going to get paid big time. So that number will probably be above them, but next year, I mean, listen, Dallas right now, if you go by the numbers, and again, we can, what do we always do? We look at paper. Paper looks okay for the Dallas Cowboys until after week number 1, they lose an offensive lineman. Then they lose a defensive player that was expected to be playing well. Then all of a sudden, their offensive, who's coaching that offense? And then all of a sudden, you're taking this wad of paper and you're trying to make a 2-point conversion and you make it, and they're no good anymore. And that's what we get from the Dallas Cowboys year in, year out. It never fails. Except the year when Dak Prescott, and that was year number 2, where he took them into the playoffs. Looking good. That's the team they got to get back to if they expect to do anything. Right now, now, granted, I did not look at any other teams in the NFC as deep as I have the Dallas Cowboys for this segment. I'm doing this for a friend of mine. So that being said, I don't see anybody beating the Dallas Cowboys if Dak Prescott stays healthy. And then they have to make sure if they got some losses on that offensive line, they don't just patch it with a retread that's just going to fall off again. And that right there is the key to the Dallas Cowboys season. It's Dak Prescott and offensive line. I think they can get away with the rest of it, Cuervo. If they lose Amari Cooper, they still got Gallup and they still have CeeDee Lamb and then the tight ends. They've got that stuff. Defensively, they need to be coached, and I think that's obviously some of the reasons why you've seen some of the movements on the coaching staff, especially on the defensive side of the ball. But right now, just looking at it and not looking in depth like we had, the Dallas Cowboys don't just win this division; they win it big. And and now, when we talk NFC East, when I say big, they're going to win it by 3 games. Now, we're in the biggest 5 or 6, but in the NFC East, it's 3 games. But the question is when will they get the wins in order to be that? Will it be down to the wire again? Will it be the last 4 weeks of the season and then they just start winning? Or will they take care of business early? That's the key to the season, I think, in reality for the Dallas Cowboys, is getting it taken care of early in case the injuries come later on in the season where atypical guys are beginning to break down at week number 13, 14, 15, 16, 17.
Yeah, no, they're gonna cut off to a fast start. No, you're absolutely right, and they got to stay healthy. I mean, that's been one of the biggest problems with Dallas too, is they can't stay healthy. So, They, I mean, for every Cowboys fan's sake, let's put our hands together and just kind of
Yeah.
ask for some help this year. Ask the football gods to
Call Tim
give you
Tebow for a special engagement, for a
break.
special prayer.
Yeah, give you a break on the injuries and and see where you can go. But yeah, I definitely think that Amari Cooper, got paid a little too much. And yes, you're right. Devontae Adams will get paid, but
big time. Not
here's my question,
by a little. He's gonna get paid. I mean, it's gonna be a push out. It'd be like he's having a baby.
The question, though, Sonny, is it going to be by the Green Bay Packers?
Yeah, well, listen. If Aaron Rodgers is not on that football team, there's no reason for him to sign that contract, and that's the reason why we haven't seen any movement on Devontae Adams. Devontae Adams will not be a Packer if Aaron Rodgers is not a Packer.
That's right.
So, and listen, Devontae Adams is going to get his money. It doesn't matter how long he can sign 3 hours if they allowed him to play before the first game, and they wouldn't. But if 3 hours before the game, he'd be in the lineup and make the money he wants. It's not a question of not, he's going to be the highest paid wide receiver in the NFL. He will be the highest paid, but it will be a question. And then you ask yourself the question, and looking at those guys, look at those numbers and look who's making the money at the wide receivers position. Your boy right there, Allen Robinson. I think your Bears are stealing him at $17 million because I think he's a $20 million man. I think that's how good he is. But look at where Mike Evans and Godwin are. Those numbers there, that they are taking the pay cut because those are $18, $19 million guys as well, especially Chris Godwin, okay? And Odell Beckham Jr., he's going to just be a money hog, and they're just taking him for the name. But Keenan Allen and Mike Williams, these guys are studs. These guys are guys that will make a difference, but at the same time, they're under the same scrutiny of anybody else. It's really about the quarterback delivering the ball.
Yeah, well, I mean, the Chargers have a good one, I think.
I think so too.
Justin Herbert. So
yeah, second-year guy that is going to listen. Anybody, I'll just kind of before we've been able to break them down. Herbert is enough to think that this team could end up being second in that division behind the Kansas City Chiefs because of who he is and his quote-unquote potential of being as good as he is. And that guy had a great rookie season. He just didn't have a team around him.
Yeah, and I think he's going to have another good, season this year. And I think the Chargers have a good chance to compete with Kansas City in that division. I really do. I think the Chargers are going to improve a lot. And I think they drafted offensive linemen in the first round.
Offensive linemen,
right?
which was the right move. Say
100%.
whatever you want. It was the right move.
Yeah.
So, and not only that, think about this, Cuervo. They weren't the only ones that drafted offensive line who had the rookie who has the potential. The Cincinnati Bengals did the same damn thing. They went offensive line. And listen, and I'm sorry. I've said it before. I'll say it again. The best division of football is AFC North. We can argue back and forth whether it's number 2. They are the best, in my opinion, within the division. But things are being talked about. And God, do I hate when you get these kind of things pushed out. So, I'm telling you right now, the Bengals are going to surprise some teams. Cincinnati can win more games than the Pittsburgh Steelers because they have a better quarterback. Listen,
I don't know about that.
That's hype talk.
Sure.
You can't be that way. If you don't want to, how do you put it? If you don't want to look at the division of football that they are in, and listen, you say whatever you want about Lamar Jackson. You can say anything you want about anybody else as the starting quarterback within that division, Cuervo. But if you don't slap a little bit on Ben Roethlisberger Roethlisberger's name, you don't know. First of all, you don't know football, and second of all, if you know a little bit, you're not intelligent enough to make that statement. Joe Burrows is going to be a good quarterback. Don't get me wrong. Joe Burrows might even do some great things. He's not better than Ben Roethlisberger. I don't even care how old Ben Roethlisberger is. Now, making a shine within that division of football, maybe, but they still Baker Mayfield, you still got to get past him. And as much as I want to blast that guy for just being a dick, okay, guess what? The guy played pretty well last year. And then you still got Lamar Jackson. You can't call Joe Burrows the best division, first of all, better than Ben Roethlisberger, or even the third best quarterback within that division. He's going to have to prove that because Roethlisberger and Jackson have already done it. And Baker Mayfield, say whatever you want about him. He's the third best quarterback within that division. Joe Burrows, unfortunately, until he proves it and shows it, is last in the division as far as rankings at quarterback within this division of football.
Yeah, I mean, Joe Burrow's going to have to earn his spot, his place in that division, and then you can start talking about where he ranks in the AFC.
Right.
And obviously from there, where he is out of the 32.
One thing on the Couch Potato Sports Show, Cuervo, what are we going to do?
Keeping it real.
Yeah. Let's keep it real. The guy's got potential, and the guy's going to be good. But they don't call it the sophomore slump for nothing, Cuervo. Right. The defensive coordinator's got almost most of a year on Joe Burrows. What are they going to figure out in time where it goes? So when someone says the Bengals are going to be better than the Steelers, I only got one thing to say.
This is total BS.
Total BS. But I think that's going to be an interesting division of football again because of the way the playoff divisions, the format has changed. So they got another team going in there. So that's the reason why you look at the NFC West with three possible teams that might be able to get into the playoffs on the NFC side. Because I kind of looked at a little bit and tried to say, what teams could three teams come from? And the NFC West was the first one that came because all four could really, in theory, battle it out to make the playoffs, but they won't get four. At most, they'll probably get three if it comes from there. And then I looked on the AFC side. The AFC North is freaking loaded with teams that are able to win big games. And say whatever you want. I don't know how the Ravens do it. Lamar Jackson's a big part of it. But listen, you look at the Steelers, they haven't had a losing season in God knows how many years. If Cincinnati and Joe Burrows turns it around, that could be interesting. And the Browns, if they're going to continue what they started last year, I feel bad for Joe Thomas. I'm telling you right now, Joe Thomas is the most underrated football player in the NFL. I mean, that guy never missed a game. Cuervo. That guy never not started a game in his career. Okay, we're talking 8 seasons on the offensive line where you're going to get a guy to get hurt. 8 seasons, and most underrated guy. And I feel bad for him that he couldn't get at least a little bit of the smell of the success from last year. But that's the old school in me. I go back years and look at guys, but he just retired 2 years ago. No, it was last year. It was his first year without Thomas in the lineup. So interestingly enough, that's where we're at. Did I lose Cuervo? Oh, he's back. Did I hit you out of there?
No, sorry. I think it was a connection. Just
okay. I've been moving my mouse, so I didn't know if I got it. So, but
I'm here.
Yeah, good. So now, that being said, of course, that's the name of this show. You talk about teams that got teams, spying the playoffs because of the new playoff format. It gives more fans a little bit to say this, Cuervo.
There's a chance.
The chance that some bad football teams are going to make the playoffs. So that being said, Cuervo, just off the top of your head, football. You don't need to look. What are some of those teams that have that chance? Maybe if it wasn't for this format, we wouldn't even be talking about them. I'm going to stay with the Cleveland Browns because I don't think they're the best team in their division. I don't even think they're the second best team. I think if at all, they're the third best within their division. And this is a team that's got a chance. And could you imagine we're talking about, Jim's going to love me. But could you imagine the Browns in the third round of the playoffs playing for the AFC champions? And that's what this new format does in reality. It opens up the dream of certain teams making it. Out of all the teams in the NFL, think about this, Cuervo. Who do you think has a chance?
Whether they make it or they don't, with the new format.
With the new format, remember they added a team and only gave one team the bye in each conference. They used to have two, and then they played it out with the other one, but instead they added another game. So one extra team in each part of the conference get an opportunity to get in the playoffs, which maybe they wouldn't have gotten.
Well, I tell you what, the Bears damn sure got lucky.
Yes.
They backed
in. Yes, there's a team. Hey, could it be the same next year?
It very well could be.
Yeah.
I think Miami's going to be a team next year. I think that could be on that bubble. I think I would say
Miami. Miami is on that.
I think so. Yeah, I think the Dolphins are going to be a team that. Yep, that's it. Yep.
Really?
That's like your favorite photo. That's your favorite picture right there.
It'll never be deleted. It'll be right there. And this goes to just so I can be right. And I don't even hate to. I just want to be right about it. So, but really, God, could you imagine that? I mean, the AFC. Listen, the AFC East was, got the Patriots. But now it's not just the Patriots anymore, Cuervo. I mean, you got the Patriots that is all if, and that's a great big if the Patriots can somehow duplicate what's going on to get into the playoffs. Then you got Buffalo still, and then you add on the Miami Dolphins maybe making it. So, by the way, the Dogs are not bothering. They're not making a big deal. I can hear them, but they're not bothering us. But I mean, do you really think Miami is really capable of making the playoffs?
I do. I just think they're on the upwards trend.
Upward trend. Okay, I like that.
You think about where they were 2-3 years ago to where they are now. I just think that with the right coaching, which they do have in Brian Flores, and they drafted Jalen Waddle, another weapon for Tua, and I think that with what they already had established, plus I think honestly, look, I don't care that the Patriots spent all this money in free agency. It's not going to really make them a better team. But I think that New England continues to flirt with 500. Maybe. Well, no, actually, they can't be 500 because they have a 17th game.
Right. Exactly.
Well, I would say maybe like a 10-7 record ish. I think Miami will probably do one better. They'll probably go like 11-6.
Think about this. I mean, guess who's in the running though? I mean, in the running for the most sought out wide receiver right now in the NFL, and there's the guy. Atlanta still wants to for some reason want to get rid of Julio Jones, and the guy and the team that they're talking about, Cuervo. And by the way, when Julio talks, I don't know if anybody's listening, but Julio Jones would love to play with Cam Newton. He has said so before. So interestingly enough, that could change the whole direction of the AFC East by one signing. Listen, the Patriots have done a great job in the offseason. Now, granted, you say whatever you want about them. All the guys that they got, yes, they have, but they're still missing that part of the Ziploc. They're just not close. Now, could that be Cam Newton, or could that be a deficiency at the wide receiver position? If you get Julio Jones, you could come close to closing that thing, and then you put all the weight and all the pressure on your quarterback, Cuervo. Because if they get Julio Jones, if they don't make the playoffs, I don't think we see the head coach that Bill Belichick will be gone if they don't make the playoffs next year. If they get Julio Jones and they don't make the playoffs, I think Belichick will be gone because there's no saving them at that point. As long as they don't, somehow end up with Jimmy Garoppolo.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I guess that's remained to be seen. If
mid-season, if San Francisco's not having a good season, those talks about Jimmy Garoppolo going back to New England will be hot and heavy. Because if they don't get him and they play bad, and they have Julio Jones. And if Cam Newton can't deliver the ball to Julio Jones, who can he deliver it to? I'll just put it out there that way. It sounds disrespectful, but if you have Julio Jones on your team, you can't deliver the ball to him, there's a problem at the quarterback position.
Yeah, and that's gonna be a thing. I think it really comes down to, let's say, New England finds a way to pull it off, and they do trade for Julio Jones. I think at that point, New England may, it's going to be on the Patriots to make the right decision on which quarterback is going to be throwing him the football.
Exactly.
And to be honest with you, if you were to ask me that right now, who's the right guy, I couldn't even give you a straight answer, Sonny, because
I can.
I really just don't know. I can't answer that.
I can.
You're writing it down, aren't you?
No, I'm pulling it up. I'm pulling up something as we're talking, but I can. If they have Jimmy Garoppolo, they go at worst 2-2 in the first 4 games, if not 3-1. But the difference is that Jimmy Garoppolo isn't going anywhere before the beginning of the season unless something goes crazy.
Yeah.
Something's got to go sideways in reality. That being said, depending on where the Patriots are at that time, when things start going sideways for San Francisco. See, and that right there tells you something, Cuervo, about your football team. You're hoping for a team to go sideways so you can bring in Jimmy Garoppolo on that football team. I'm not the only one saying this, by the way, so it's not like this is crazy talk from Sonny Clark. I've heard this all over the place that if the Patriots and Cam Newton go off at the beginning of the season, and the reason might be is, Cuervo, they have a light schedule, okay, for the first 4 season, for the first game of the season. Okay, they got the Dolphins. That should be a win. Then they got the Jets. First 2 weeks, man, that team should be 2-0. Okay, with Cam Newton. Okay, yeah. Any other quarterback, they should maybe could be worse, but. Here's where the buck of the season starts coming to them. Sneaky teams that may or may not be good. Will the Saints be good, or will they be the god-awful team that we think they may be? The Buccaneers and Tom Brady go head-to-head with the Patriots on October 3rd. Okay? But then, after that, Cuervo, Texans, Cowboys. And that's before they get to the Jets yet again. So you're looking at the first 7 weeks of the season that will be very vital for the Patriots. Well, maybe not even the Patriots, for Cam Newton. It almost don't matter what the rest of the team does in reality. This season, the first 5 to 6 weeks of the season is about Cam Newton. And at that point, if he's not winning football games on a consistent level or something that they can look positive about, there'll always be that Jimmy Garoppolo in the back of your mind thinking, will the 49ers let him go and then move on to, obviously, their first-round draft pick?
Yeah. And, that's going to be the thing is, how long is the leash for Cam Newton? Kind of like, what the talk was last year with Mitch Trubisky in Chicago.
Yes.
How long is the leash before we give it to Nick Foles?
Yes.
And I think it lasted 3-4 weeks. and then he wound up going to Nick Foles. So
think about this, Cuervo. If Jimmy Garoppolo starts off slow, okay, they very well could be, by the way. Week number 1, we don't know how well the Lions will be. But if you're just thinking off the top of your head, they should be able to win week number 1 against the Lions. Okay? Week number 2 could be a battle against the Eagles, but week number 3 is when the meat of the season starts heading their way. The Green Bay Packers, the Seattle Seahawks, the Arizona Cardinals, and the Colts, who are going to be better, and then they end up with your Bears on October 31st on Halloween. So those
that's gonna be an ass whooping, but
yeah. But again, the first 6 weeks are vital for the 49ers as well as it is on the AFC side, on the other side of the country with the New England Patriots. This should be a huge and interesting situation. But back to Julio Jones, the big talk is that they are trying to get him. Behind the scenes, they're working on trying to get him. I mean, I don't know what it's going to take to get him, but whatever you're going to do and you are actually in the real running for Julio Jones, how much of the house do you sell in order to get a Julio Jones if you're the Patriots?
Good question, Sonny. I mean, I would say, oh man, what would I give up to get Julio Jones? I'd probably have to say, at most, I'd say probably 2 first-rounders and maybe a 4th, 5th, something like that.
That's a big sell. I mean, as far as draft picks are concerned. What do you think Kyle Shanahan thinks? Well, let's find out. What does Kyle Shanahan think? Well, if there's a Julio Jones available and you have the opportunity to get him, you go get him. It's worth it. So, but now, granted, that's Kyle Shanahan, and Kyle Shanahan, Cuervo, if you go by what everybody was saying, that wasn't his quote unquote choice at the quarterback position for the draft. He wanted the young cat out of Alabama. So Mac Jones. That's supposedly reported who he wanted. He doesn't get that guy. He gets somebody else. So, how much of Kyle Shanahan can you believe? I mean, so when that thing came down, it got me thinking, Cuervo. Coaches have a lot to say about what's going on. And I'm wondering how the 49ers are doing their business, how much they actually listen to Kyle Shanahan. And something tells me that just by that statement about what he says about Julio Jones, they are not in the running to get him. Because to me, it seems like the actual franchise is almost going completely opposite of what this guy is talking about. And he's one of the big reasons why they've actually showed potential to be maybe in the playoffs. They're just – in reality, you think about it, they're only an injury away. Jimmy Garoppolo not getting hurt, maybe making the playoffs last year. So, interestingly enough, I mean, I wonder where they are, how far apart that ownership to coach as far as Kyle Shanahan is concerned. Because I'm going to tell you right now, if Kyle Shanahan's saying he wants him, something tells me they're not going to get him, but I think he does want him.
Well, I mean, yeah, but I mean, again, we can sit here and say all day that we want. Are we willing to pay that price, though? Are we willing to pay whatever it takes to get a Julio Jones? And, just like Atlanta did when they moved up in the draft to get Julio Jones.
Yes. And then re-upping his contract, too. Think about that. And they didn't have to do that, by the way. When they upped his contract, they just wanted to quiet him down. And I tell you, and then the money, but then it goes to the money, Cuervo. This guy's going to get paid a lot of money. All right. So a team that don't pay money is right there. The Patriots don't pay money for players. The last time when they had that kind of guy and they actually played was who, Cuervo? It was a former wide receiver that played for the Vikings.
The GOAT.
You're
Randy Moss. Randy Moss.
Yeah, your old boy Randy.
My goat.
Yeah, you're Yeah, because I'll use your guys' word for it.
IQ, buddy, 0.
So I don't know. Anyway, go to your generation. I might go to that. No, I probably for your generation maybe. I don't know. That might be Terrell Owens. I don't know. But hey, it is what it is. But man, Julio Jones, he's the one. The guys are talking, or teams are talking about Julio Jones. What are they going to do? They're going to have Julio Jones. They're not going to have Julio Jones. Are they going to actually make a big play on it? How many teams do you think in the NFL are actually making a play on Julio Jones? And then the question has to be asked, Cuervo, is it Julio Jones is, who would you rather have if you're Atlanta? Is it Matt Ryan at the quarterback position or a stud wide receiver, Julio Jones? Something tells me, and maybe I'm just too old school to know better, I'm wanting Julio Jones because you want to talk about a Super Bowl hangover that will never get open. This guy is going to be punch drunk for the rest of his life at the quarterback position. Matt Ryan is washed up. This guy doesn't have the capabilities of coming back after what happened in the Super Bowl. And he's shown that, by the way.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, and I just think that the Vikings, the Falcons need to shake it up a little bit, from a roster standpoint, offensively. And if that means getting rid of Julio and trading for him and get what you can out of him, look, at the end of the day, it's a business.
It's a business, but look at those numbers, Cuervo. Look at the numbers. Even Hurt, Cuervo, he was the number 1 or number 2 guy on every major stat. Now, granted, was he the number 1 or number 2 within the NFL? No. But Matt Ryan, am I blind, Cuervo? I mean, because we always talk about it on this show and what the NFL. And I'm sorry, he hasn't done anything for the Atlanta Falcons for the last 4 seasons. 4 seasons, Matt Ryan has been the problem. Not Ridley, not Julio Jones. You don't get rid of a 1-2 punch that has been proven to work, and the guy that's consistently dropping the ball is your quarterback. I'm sorry, I think you got to figure out sooner or later that Matt Ryan is not your guy in Atlanta.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you can only try so long before you realize that something is just it's not meant to happen. It's not going to happen. It's not, hey, I can change it, 9 years later or whatever the case may be. Like, it just doesn't work that way.
No.
It sucks, but that's the, keeping it real. That's what we're doing.
Yep. And not only that, and think about where the fit could work. Okay, could you imagine in Green Bay, Cuervo, they have Julio Jones on the other side of maybe the best wide receiver in the NFL right now, in Devontae Adams? I mean, and you throw in the fact that you keep Aaron Rodgers on your football team. Imagine how deadly that could be. The Eagles are definitely a team that could be looking for Julio Jones. But I'm telling you right now, I'm hearing I haven't heard a lot of it, Cuervo. But about the Eagles, let's hop back to them really quick. I'm hearing a lot of noise about a quarterback that's in Houston that's not happy there. And I'm hearing a lot of noise about him heading his way up to Philadelphia. Now, granted, it's not the brand town that New York was or where he was going to be. Listen, I'm telling you right now, Watson was going to be in New York before all this crap came down. There was no question in my mind. He was going to either be in New York, Jet, or a Giant, one of the two. And now, since all that's gone away, where do you go to after you don't go to New York in your brand? You go into a place that will accept you. And listen, if there's any team in the NFL, there's 2 places you can go to accept players on who they are. That is one, the Raiders, and the other is Philadelphia. And I'm telling you right now, if that move is made, Dak Prescott could be in a lot of trouble in the NFC East because that move alone could move the Philadelphia Eagles, in contention within the NFC East.
It could. Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think all around they've got a good team built up. Maybe a little more help in the secondary, but I agree with you. I think they are a well put together team.
think about this, Cuervo. We're not talking. There's been no talks about suspending this guy, putting him on the commissioner's list. Guys that have been thrown on the commissioner's list for stubbing their frickin' toes, but yet there are sexual allegations everywhere on this guy, and he has not been put on the commissioner's list. I just don't get it, and the inconsistency of the commissioner's list is the reason why it's got to go away in reality, if you think about it. Because these guys that have been put on the commissioner's list, nowhere close to what's going on. Now, the guys with the marijuana, distributing marijuana as being pushers, and being the supplier, that's bad. Guess what? They were on it. What's worse in reality? We're talking marijuana, okay? So it just depends on where you think things fall. I'm sorry, I think sexual assault should be a little bit higher than marijuana. And those guys were on that commissioner's list for months, not 1 minute on that list. And I wonder if they're even thinking about putting them on the list. And I don't see the reason why they shouldn't.
Well, I mean, everybody gets treated the same way. That's what it should come down to.
Exactly. And it all goes back to the LeBron James. It's and got full circle, Cuervo. Full circle. Fairness in everything. Whether it's baseball and guys. Listen. If you're that thing I'm going to tell you right now, Cuervo. After the Houston Astros won the World Series, and they went last year, and they started throwing at those guys. Every single one of those pitchers should have been fined and suspended. Every single one of them. If you don't have the stones not to throw at them and you want to go after them, that's crap. And I don't even care if it's a 70-mile-an-hour ball. You're putting someone's life in danger. And throwing at players is inexcusable. Fairness all around, and I don't care if you're LeBron James, because let's be honest, LeBron James is probably going to be a reason why you win. And I'm not that far gone to understand that. But guess what? It's not just LeBron James that is going to win games for you in reality. You got to depend on your bench. You got to depend on other players. And if LeBron James is walking away from certain things that he should be held accountable for, per se, and which, by the way, this one is debatable because it was a party for a tequila company that he was part of. That guy didn't need to be at this party. So, if it was anybody else, they would be going through that protocol and not playing against me. By the way, what's the score in that game? Let's find out. Get an update up on that game.
I was not watching it, or am not watching it.
The Suns won 99-90. So the Suns won up on the Lakers.
Wow. Kidding. No kidding. The Arizona man is happy.
3 more games. 3 more. No, I could care less. It could be the freaking Indiana Pacers, for God's sake. I don't care. I just don't want it to be LeBron James. So, yeah, there it is. Suns win from my brother. I didn't realize he was watching. Great D is what he's saying. He was probably watching it. But yes. I don't know. Am I a LeBron hater, or am I just a guy? Yeah, probably. I'm probably a hater. Am I a hater, Cuervo?
No. You're a realist. We're keeping it real.
Keeping it real. Yeah, I do. Yeah, maybe that. No, Cuervo, I probably got a little hate for the guy. But yeah,
Keeping it real.
You got to keep it real on this show,
Keeping it real.
But I'm just like anybody else. I want to see the big guy go down,
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm sorry.
Boy, you really that's something about that just
it's so arrogant. And I meant it, Cuervo. If I was in front of LeBron James, he did that in front of me or my team, I'd slap him all over that basketball court. I wouldn't let him do it. See, and there's another thing. The difference between could you imagine LeBron James doing that in front of Michael Jordan? Could you imagine? First of all, if he did that, that would have been a big bitch slap of respect, because supposedly, Michael's his guy, But you know what? You know who I could see slapping the shit out of him for doing that? It's Kobe Bryant. Now, he's played a lot with him, but, and I don't know if he ever did it, but I could just see Kobe going after him for shit like that.
Yeah, well, I mean, because Kobe was, it was like a switch for him. Nicest dude ever on the, off the court or whatever, and real humbled. On the court, though, it's, just like Michael. He was not your friend anymore.
No,
It was
no,
it was all about
Michael wasn't
competing.
your friend. You could be Larry Bird.
It was all
In
about
those
competing.
in those 3 hours to play that basketball game, Michael Jordan didn't give a rat's fat ass who he was, and that's the reason why.
Yeah.
And not only that, he didn't want him on his team either, which is another reason. But by the way, the question, and I'll ask Fred this, and I'll ask you this. I wonder that there's a lot of Phoenix, LA hate, but when that guy pissed in the pool in Diamondback Stadium, I think that really kind of put the capper on the hate. I mean, reality. Who was that guy who pissed in the pool? The Dodger player. The Dodger player that I can't remember who it was.
Puig?
Yeah, I think it was. I think that's who it was.
That didn't surprise me, actually.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think that's who it was. And so it was Puig, yeah. So I think that puts it up. There was always been a little bit of hate in reality, Laker Phoenix kind of thing because of but I think that's the one that sealed the real hate when that happened. And by the way, and I'll ask Fred, he'll tell me, I think that was a playoff game that they did that in too. So it wasn't just a regular season game. I think it was a playoff game when that happened. So so the hate is real. The hate is really real.
Oh, very real.
For Phoenix, and he says regardless who he plays, because he's not. I don't think he's a Dodger anymore. But yeah, that pissing in the pool, that'll do it. That'll take it on there. So, but interestingly enough, Cuervo, I think what's going on. Yeah, looking at Julio Jones, I think he's obviously got the money. I mean, we've seen the page. He's making some serious money. So that's another thing. How many teams can actually take on that salary in reality? Well, guess what? I think I got the answer to that question because there are certain teams that can play and get money. And I had this thing, and maybe I lost it. I did. I think I lost it. Shoot. I think I lost it. Not. What?
Uh-oh.
Yeah. Damn it! I lost it. Son of a gun.
Stuff.
But in your mind? Who are some of the teams really that can go after Julio Jones?
Who could go after him?
Yeah.
Ooh, I would say probably.
Do you think the Patriots can get him?
I think that the Patriots will ask for a lot in return to get Julio. Or no, not. Atlanta will ask for a lot in return, which is, that's probably.
Okay, I found it.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
I found it. Okay, this is it. I found this because I thought it was really interesting. All right, so the New England Patriots right now have a salary cap space of $15 million, close to $16 million bucks. So depending on how they work out this, how much will Atlanta eat of the contract if they do it all, or whatever the case may be, that'll always be there. So sitting right now, there's a salary cap of $16 million. So that'll work. Another team in Arizona, and I kind of went back with my brother on this. The Arizona Cardinals right now have $13.5 million. And can you imagine Hopkins and him as a one, number two? Oh my God, kind of thing. And then, how about this? A team that really should probably look at him hard, Cuervo, is the 49ers. The 49ers have $17.6 million to do that. But there are two other teams that I think you got to look out for. Yeah. And one that I don't know if they could get along, but in Cleveland, could you imagine Odell Beckham, Jarvis Landry, and Devontae Peoples-Jones with Julio Jones? Well, the Browns have 20. They have 20 million underneath the cap to get them. And, you know, guys that are there, but then there's one more team I think that really should look at them, and that'd be the Colts. The Colts have got 20 million. They don't have a wide receiver. Yeah, I just said it because they got T.Y. Hilton. He's best. He's a best number 2 and a bottom number 2, if not a top number 3. So I don't look at him at all as far as that's concerned. But
yeah,
and then my team, the Jaguars, they got 39 million still left. He's probably not going to go there, but God, 39 million. It wouldn't even hurt the pocketbook. And the Jets have 25 million, Cuervo.
Yeah. Yeah. I'll give you another team that you haven't mentioned yet, but could you imagine Russell Wilson being throwing to Julio Jones?
Yeah.
Russell
Wilson. I don't know what their number is as far as their cap is, where they're at. But God, yeah, you got a guy who's supposedly, you know, getting what it is, you know. And by the way, he asked, what is Julio getting? Well, we had that up on the page. What is Julio getting? Where is it? Right. Wide receiver money right here. Right now, he is at 23 million. He's the highest paid wide receiver in the NFL right now. Amari Cooper behind him, which that's a waste of 22 million for the Cowboys. But Allen Robinson, I think you're getting Cuervo. I think you're getting Allen Robinson cheap.
We are. I'll be honest. I think it's a little cheap too, and I'm okay with that.
Yeah. Well, then you know. The problem is really in reality when you're looking at him and where he's going to be for the future in reality, Cuervo, it is one thing and one thing only.
The Bears are who we thought they were.
And who are they? They are a team that don't pay the big bucks to the right guy. So, you know, will they extend? I don't know. But I don't see the Bears spending big money on the wide receiver position. I just don't see it happening when it comes time. And I'm not sure when it comes. I think he's up next year. If I'm not mistaken, he's up next year. That's the reason why they were throwing him around, counting him around, because it's one of his last years and seeing what they could get for him in reality. So I think last year is the last year of that contract because that he's going to be a $20 million man regardless wherever he ends up.
Yeah, and you know, I mean, there's very few guys that you can say should be getting paid that.
Mm-hmm.
And one guy's in Arizona.
Yes.
And how much? Look, Sonny, again, this is not about me being a fan of whatever. Devontae Adams is a good receiver, and I think he's about an $18 million guy.
Oh, no, he's 20 million.
You think he's 20? I would say 18.
Hold on. Let's just say he's going to get 20 because if you got an opportunity to get him, if you're right, he's an $18 million man, you're throwing him two so you can get him. So you're going to throw him $2 more million to make him a $20 million man. And you put yourself in a position where you can put yourself right into the playoffs just with that signing. That's how good Devontae Adams is, depending on what team he goes to.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And you know, then you got I don't know. I think Michael Thomas has dropped a little bit just because there's
injury big time.
You know, there's some injury things going on with him. But
he's not even on the top of this list in reality. You're looking at these numbers, these are the highest guys, and you don't see him there. You're right. He's fallen off of this list, and I don't know if he can command even 15 million or 16 million. You know, and Michael Thomas is another guy that when Fred makes the point that he needs someone to throw the football to, you know, without Drew Brees, Michael Thomas is not Michael Thomas. So that's something to keep in mind as well.
Yeah. I mean, and you know, that remains to be seen who is going to throw the ball to Michael Thomas. But, you know, and as much as I love Tyreek Hill, There's a lot of things that he can't do that a Julio Jones, a DeAndre Hopkins can do, a Devontae Adams can do. I mean, look,
Totally
one
agree.
thing, and you know what? And Tyreek Hill has the ability to learn those things. And one thing you can't teach is speed. So that is something that works to Tyreek Hill's advantage.
Well, you can't teach height either, Cuervo. You can't put him in the corner on a one-on-one jump shot, like, you had Calvin Johnson that, Matthew Stafford lived on.
Right.
If you've got the height, that's one thing Tyreek Hill does not have. But like you said, Cuervo, you can't teach speed. And not only that, you can't teach vision.
Yes.
You can't teach vision, because I'm telling you right now, there's nobody better in the open field than Tyreek Hill, and I can't stand him. By the way, I'd knock him upside his head. I don't like that guy either. But I'm not going to say that guy don't have any skills, because that guy's got some mad skills, and him running the football back, those are instinct players. I mean, because you only can get so many of those kind of guys that just the game comes to them naturally. And could you imagine if Tyreek Hill had the speed and the size? Right now, he just has the speed. He don't have the size. But if you had the size to him, holy smoke.
Yeah. Yep. I mean, and even if Tyreek Hill was, so what is he, 5'11", 5'10"?
I think he's 5'11". I think that's what it is.
Let's say even if he was 1 or 2 inches taller, I think that would you could probably put Tyreek Hill higher on the list of top receivers right now.
5'10". And not only that, Cuervo, think about this. And I just saw it because I pulled up his name. This guy's not even 30 yet. No. He is 27 years old.
Yep.
He's got 3 years before you start talking about being on the other side of 30.
Yeah.
3 more years with Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce. Man, I don't know if that's just thinking about where that is. God, I hate this guy. And you know what? And I don't even hate him. He says a few things off the field that don't bother me. But the reason why I don't like Tyreek Hill is the reason why I dislike a lot of players. They're just so damn good, you just can't stand them.
That's a good reason.
The Michael Irvins of the world, although Michael Irvin had the off the field problems, but Michael Irvin was just that good. They're just some guys that are just that good, and you just want to hate them because they are that good, and they're usually better than the teams that you root for. That's the reason why you hate them. So yeah.
Well, and that's why I think Aaron Rodgers sucks. Because
exactly. There you go. There's a prime example of what I'm talking about.
It's not because he actually sucks. It's because I hate the fact that he's so good.
So good in your own division. Yeah, against your team 2 times a year, and you can just consider yourself at best 1-1, and you're probably going to go 0-2. So it's just like, damn. I mean, what do you got to do? You got to break this guy's leg in order for him not to be good. But speaking of quarterbacks, Cuervo. Speaking of quarterbacks, Jacksonville Jaguars have got a quarterback situation, and look at the mustache on this guy. He looks like he just walked off a porn set. But look at this. I mean, and this goes back. Look at the guy on top of these things. Just thinking about this, okay? 1 combined interception, he gets paid $600,000. See, this is the reason why you should not look at stats and decide whether or not a guy's good or not. This right here is a classic example, because if you think Gardner Minshew is a good quarterback, you would be wrong. Okay, so just so you know, but looking at the 2 on top of them, 11 combined interceptions and $70 million this season. Listen, Gardner Minshew is the biggest joke. Yes, hey, by the way, there's another one that, yes, the reason why if you hate Michael Jordan, that's the reason why. Is he is just too damn good.
You shouldn't, though.
Yeah, you shouldn't. You should look at him as exactly what he is, which is the GOAT. But I mean, Isaiah Thomas is another one. You look at that guy. First of all, he was easy to hate, and second of all, Second of all, he's a hypocrite. I used to, by the way, back in the day, I'm a Pistons guy. I'm a Pistons guy. Love me some Isaiah Thomas. I love me from Dennis Rodman when he played for them. I swear to God, and Bill Laimbeer. Bill Laimbeer would go up against anybody. It didn't matter who it is. He's going to get his ass kicked most of the time, but he went up against anybody for any reason. So, as a matter of fact, one of my favorite ones is when he went straight up against another guy that I hate too, Patrick Ewing. Cannot stand me, Patrick. I cannot stand Patrick Ewing. But he was just that good. But unfortunately for him, didn't get the championship. But again, stats mean absolutely nothing when your team's not winning football games. You can have the best damn stats in the world, but if your team is not playing well or it's not even contention, it doesn't matter. You see, so a little bit goes up on Dak Prescott, because if you look at those numbers, realistically, you knew that of those 34 points that they were scoring, at least 10 of them were garbage points. 10 of them were at least garbage points. So in reality, it was somewhere near 24. You got to look at the numbers and look at them. You got to look at them and find the respect of what the number is. It can't just be a number, Cuervo. I've said this before. I'll say it again. You can't just look at the number and decide whether or not a guy is good or not, because it means nothing if you're not winning games. And that's the difference, right, Cuervo? The difference between good and great. Look at Tom Brady. If Tom Brady wasn't winning championships, do you think people would be falling all over Tom Brady, talking about how great he is and being the GOAT? No.
Not as much.
No. We wouldn't be talking about Tom Brady being great. So that's the reason why you got to look at the numbers and find out what those numbers mean. And it's easy to look at, and it's easy to fall in love with numbers, but you got to fall in love with the reason why the numbers are there, more so than just the numbers, because they make a big difference. Randy Galloway, he was a guest on the show many, many years ago, and his line was very simple, and it was right. You got to watch the damn game. And when you watch the damn game, you get an idea of who's great and who is not. And admitting that Aaron Rodgers is a GOAT is hard for a Bears fan. It's hard for a Minnesota Viking fan or a Detroit Lion. It's hard to be that way. But you got to understand the greatness of what Aaron Rodgers is. Because, again, you look at the number, Cuervo, and you go by a number. If you go by the number 1 with Aaron Rodgers, and that's 1 Super Bowl, and you don't think he's any good because he only has 1 Super Bowl, you would be absolutely insane to think that in reality.
Yeah, well, I mean, the fact that he only has 1, I don't think it has to do
with a surprise.
It has nothing to do with his talent, though, Sonny. I think it just has to do with
weak defenses for the last 5 years when he had to carry the freaking defense because they were no good.
Right. It was just shortfalls. And, and I think, again, we talked about this last week about what is really, grinding Aaron's gears with the situation in Green Bay. I think sometimes not leaving the game in his hands, allowing him to do what he wants to do, what he thinks is best, taking that out of his hands really was a slap in the face for him. And so, because it's happened a couple times. Yeah, coaching, right. It's happened a couple times where things were taken out of his control, taken away from him, and it wound up costing games. It wound up costing opportunities to have a chance at another Super Bowl title, because I think a lot of people were really looking forward to a Chiefs-Packers Super Bowl.
Without question.
Looking forward to it.
I was.
Bucks, like, okay,
I was.
Look, again,
I love me some Tom Brady, Cuervo. I love me some Tom Brady.
I know you do. He's a Michigan guy, and I get it. But I think the problem with Brady, no, I don't think, I know. The problem with Brady is that people are just tired of seeing him in the Super Bowl. They're tired of it. Like, we get it, dude. You've proven that you are the GOAT when it comes to quarterbacks. You don't need to win 10 Super Bowls, man.
But but it goes back down to and it goes and this, and I know I'm wrong. Okay, and before I say this, I know I'm wrong when I say this. Up front, I know I'm wrong. Okay, but when that guy on a 3-0 cranks out the home run, you know, the sort of deal when they were getting clobbered, or when they were clobbering the other team. I forget who it was who cranked out the home run on the 3-0 pitch. They were up by 10. I think it was the 8th inning or something, and he cranks out on a 75-mile-an-hour fastball, cranks it out, and hits a 2-run homer up on top of it, and everybody thought that was so. My thinking is if you don't have enough pride in yourself to try to stop him the right way, which is getting him out instead of throwing a 75-mile-an-hour over ball, and not expecting someone to hit it, then I think the pitcher is wrong. I think the unwritten rule is wrong. Listen. I'm all about forcing it down their throat and keep doing the same damn thing until you stop them. And I get I'm wrong. I'm wrong. And here's one right here, Cuervo. This right here, and that is a great example. Bad sport because we don't talk a lot of NASCAR, but I get exactly what he's talking about there.
I think he won the Cup, 7 years in a row?
7 years in a row. I think you're right. I think it was 7. I think that's and if it's not at 6, and that's still too damn many, especially in the NASCAR running. Fred will tell us how many. He is a NASCAR nut, so he knows. But thinking about, and it goes back to what you see year in, year out, or sometimes week in and week out, depending on what sport you play with, the NBA and everything. But 6 of 9.
6 out of 9.
They had 9 years, and you had 6 of them in your face. Not only that, if I remember correctly, he not only just won, he won, and they changed the rules for that to where they if I'm not mistaken, I could be wrong. They changed. He was so good, they changed the rules and put that scoring thing where guys couldn't make it after a certain amount of weeks or whatever the case. I think that's where that rule came from, and I could be wrong about that. But just think about that. Guys that are good, they change rules for it. Okay. Now, in the NFL, think about Tom Brady. How many rules that were supposedly put into play because they didn't want to see Tom Brady, the GOAT, get hurt? When you're that good, you got things that will turn in your direction. Tom Brady will say something to a referee and get that call, or whatever it is. There's another example, Wilt. But I didn't hate Wilt Chamberlain.
Yeah, I didn't.
You weren't alive, and I was young. But being the history guy that I am, because I do love. I love 60s, 70s, and 80s and 90s basketball. Maybe 70s, 80s, 90s better than 60s, but Wilt was back in those days, so I didn't necessarily hate him. But guys that I did hate when they played, I hated Shaq. Now, he wasn't a good free throw shooter. Everybody knew that. But if he got in the paint, forget it.
Yeah.
And
Hack-a-Shaq.
Yeah, Hack-a-Shaq. And that's the reason why that can – see, these are guys where things end up happening. Shaq couldn't hit a free throw to save his life. That's the reason why they were hacking him all the time. And there were many games they lost because Shaq couldn't hit a free throw. So, guys that are that good, where they change the rules or do something different because they're that good. Unlike Frank Gore, who none of that ever happened. Regardless how many yards he got, no one. They're that one defensive player walking into the week. Yeah, God, what are we going to do? What can we do about Frank Gore? Yeah. Anyway. All right. That's all. I will go very much more. But I rounded that whole thing around everything.
numbers, what they mean, the impact of the numbers, how it works. Frank Gore, not in any of them. It's irrelevant. But anyway.
Yeah. Sonny said, I digress. I digress.
Here it comes. By the way, funny story. Last week, I got to work an hour and a half early. Don't ask me why. I just couldn't sleep. So I was there an hour and a half early, and I was arguing with someone on the NFL thing about Frank Gore, and I just had a wonderful day. You know, it's just but man, I'll tell you, when things are going well, the time just seems to slip by at Cuervo. I'm telling you right now, I can't believe you got here early. Hey, man, I'm telling you, man. Hey, maybe 3:30 is the number. We'll find out what's the best time for Cuervo, and we'll make sure we bring him in because we need some Cuervo. Now, some other things, just really quickly. I didn't not enough to where I took the time to get the picture. Oh, I hit the wrong button. Hold on. There was something I wanted to talk about, and where is it? There it is, right there. And this is a very it's a tough thing to talk about, but and one of my problems, I don't like the story because of what the story is, but I also don't like the fact that if you're going to make that story, you don't say who said it. Does that make sense to me, Cuervo?
Yeah.
All right.
Leave it anonymous.
Yes. And that being said, you know, there's a former NFL offensive lineman and assistant coach. His name is, and by the way, I know who this guy is. So this guy knows what he is. Okay, it's Eugene Chung. I don't know if you've ever heard of him. He's an offensive lineman. He was told that he was, quote unquote, not the right minority when he was interviewing for an NFL coach job this offseason. And first of all,
wow.
Yeah. First of all, I want to know who that is. And listen, I don't know anything. I don't know anything. Yeah, later start. Maybe it might be the right time. I don't know if that is a good thing or a bad thing. I want to know who that is. That is a tough statement to say if you're not going to back it up. You know, listen, and I'm not saying it didn't happen, but you can't come out and say that without saying who it was. And the main reason is because you got to make sure that doesn't happen again. Now, granted, I'm sure the NFL knows how to, talk about, talk to teams about, hey, listen, we shouldn't be saying shit like this. That's not the point. This is one of those tough ones where if you're going to say something like that, I want to know who it is. Maybe it's because I want to hate the person who said that, or whoever it was, whether it was a coach or the team that was on it. And I think Fred might be right. I don't think you're getting that from an owner. And if you are getting that from an owner, shame on him. But interestingly enough, that story is a relevant story in today's times right now.
You said it's relevant or irrelevant?
Oh, it's relevant, especially in the times that we're living right now.
Well, yeah. I mean, because we're always about,
equality and
equality. Everybody matters and things like that. So, that's tough to say whether that actually was said or not.
Yes,
whether we can prove that, and I don't know how I can respond to that if it winds up that it was true.
Yes. And whatever team it was, and granted, let's be honest, Cuervo, no one's really in the limelight when they're just going to be an offensive line coach or a position coach. Unless you're a big name, no one really cares about. They only care about the head coach. Maybe the defensive coordinator, maybe the offense. But outside of those three positions, no one really gives a rip about who's really there. I mean, really, does anybody care who the quarterback's coach is in Minnesota?
Well, the Vikings fans, it matters, but
Well, that was just a bitch slap to Kirk Cousins, but
yeah,
obviously it's not working.
that's
But
why
hey,
I'm saying. That's why I'm saying that, because Viking fans want to make sure that Kirk Cousins is getting the proper training.
yeah.
He can.
Why is that, Cuervo? Why
Well,
do you think fans in Minnesota want to see this guy is getting paid so much money, top 5 for the last 4 years, top 5 quarterback money. Because they've been putting him in that, and then they signed him. They've been putting him in that franchise tag for 2 years. Then they signed him for big ass money. And what has happened to him? Can't even beat the Bears.
That's pretty sad, huh? Pretty sad.
Oh man, but it all goes, it all goes to where it's going to go. By the way, some other interesting news. We kind of touched on it a little bit last week. Tim Tebow. Now, guess what? Now that everything's signed up, guess who has the number 1 selling jersey in the NFL right now? Tim Tebow. Why is that? I mean, listen. I mean, we can sit and listen to all the quote unquote experts, Cuervo, but guess what? It just goes to show that the experts don't know what the fans want, because you don't end up with the number 1 jersey without the fans. No one cares about what Shannon Sharp has to say, which, by the way, that's another story. We'll get to that in a second. But who cares what Shannon Sharp says or Smith says, or what? The fans want them some Tim Tebow. And this just proves my point about all of that. And that whole Tim Tebow situation, it means absolutely nothing, because the relationship is there. And not only that, the relationship is the reason why he got the job. No one's under any illusion that they think that Tim Tebow is a good tight end. Okay, no one's under any illusion, but it's what he brings to the football team.
Yes,
and how he brings it to the football team. Because you say whatever you want. That kid in the playoffs, last minutes of a football game, knocked who out of the playoffs, Cuervo? Do you remember who they knocked out of the playoffs?
What? When he was with Denver?
When he was with Denver?
Beat the Steelers.
Beat the Steelers when they weren't just good, Cuervo. They were great.
Mm-hmm.
In the last 5 minutes of the game, he puts them out. Listen, guys like Tim Tebow get in the blood of fans, and whether for whatever reason, Cuervo, because listen, I'm not even. Some people ask, "Sonny, are you stupid?"
I don't think so, Tim.
On some things, I am, but when you talk Tim Tebow, look at his college record. The guy's a winner.
Yeah.
Okay. Who knocked him out? Who knocked him out of Denver, Cuervo? Was it him? Did he knock himself out of Denver, or did somebody who signed knock him out of Denver?
I think he knocked himself out.
No. Cuervo, your boy got signed. Peyton Manning.
Right, Peyton Manning. Yeah. But was he already?
Peyton Manning not listen. I love me some Tim Tebow, but I don't care how old Peyton Manning is. I'm putting him in before Tim Tebow.
Yeah, but I'm trying to remember the timing of that. Was that the same time? Like,
it was at the end of the year. They lost that next game. I forget. I think it was the Patriots. They lost after they beat the Steelers. All right. So the next season, the timing is the next season. After that, then Peyton Manning is signed, and where does that live Tim Tebow?
In the dark.
I mean, you don't need Tim Tebow. He becomes trade bait, or he ends up on another football team, which is exactly what happened. If I'm not mistaken, he went to the Jets after that, if I'm not wrong. But either way, he wasn't with the Broncos. And if they didn't, could you imagine if the Broncos did not sign your boy, Peyton Manning? Tim Tebow would have been the starter next year. I'm telling you that would have happened because of what he did. And it didn't matter. Listen, that guy didn't play worth a nickel. in the first 3 quarters of that. Not even the first 3.5. It was the last 5 minutes this guy showed up and put him in there, and put it into the Steelers, playoff run. And that was a good thing. So, and but yeah, why didn't he stay as a backup? Because that wasn't who Tim Tebow was. He wasn't the traditional drop back passer. He was the guy. They were trying to get him to play halfback. They were trying to get him to play wide receiver. They were trying to get him anything. But Tim Tebow did the Lamar Jackson, says, no, man, I'm a quarterback. So, so he plays that and then ends up playing baseball and everything. But I will tell you, I debated whether or not I wanted to talk about this, but I think I'm going to, because Tim Tebow's got some real hate, Cuervo. Real hate. There are people cannot stand Tim Tebow. Now, granted,
why?
They're not the ones that are not buying. They're the ones not buying the jerseys, because the fans sure in the hell are. And not only that, Cuervo, they're buying the jersey without even knowing what the number's going to be. Because Gardner Minshew wears number 15, which is the number.
You know what the number is.
Yeah, exactly. And they don't know because they don't know if he's going to be 15, 85, which is what we've been seeing in practice and everything. But they don't know if it'll be 15 if Gardner Minshew ends up going to another football team or whatever the case may be, or if he'll be with the Jags. But listen, there's some serious hate. He was under contract, and backing up to Tim Tebow, he was under contract and they let him go. But he did not fit Peyton Manning's style of football. So why have Tim Tebow as a backup quarterback is the way I'm thinking of why he didn't stay in Denver, more so than the guy sucked. Because, listen, I said it at the time. The biggest mistake, the best backup quarterback in the NFL was Tim Tebow at the time. I even was okay with the fact the guy wasn't going to start. But thinking about Tim Tebow and the hate, there's one guy that really hates him. And he's a hypocrite, and I'm calling him out because I did my homework. I don't do a lot of homework for this one, but this was enough to make me mad. Shannon Sharp is a hypocrite. And Shannon Sharp, listen, and there's a guy in the chat room right now that watches this guy almost religiously. And I don't know if he'll agree with me or if he's seen the episodes, but I did. I mean, Shannon Sharp is all over Tim Tebow. He's been all over Tim Tebow for 4 years. And then the signing happened, and he went straight to the racial shot. And I'm sorry, when you go racial, and that's exactly what he did, by the way. And that's not even a question. I saw the episode. This guy went straight racial because, Colin Kaepernick didn't get the job before he did. And he's calling him out on why it didn't happen. And when I was watching, I was like, oh, he's insinuating because he's white. No, he said it. He came out and said it, played the race card, and then has enough nerve to come back in later episodes saying, well, he didn't do this, he didn't do that, he wasn't this good, he wasn't that good, and things like that. He's such a hypocrite. I wanted to bitch slap him as soon as I saw him. Yeah, I said it. Anybody, SonnyClark24@gmail.com. Don't care. You're never going to win this argument with me, because once you go that way, and that's what he did, you can't look at anything else that he brings to the forefront and see it as a valid and true point, because he's already played the race card.
Yeah, and that's something that should not be played in this situation. All right.
Yes.
Bottom line, and again, I'm the same way. You're not gonna convince me otherwise. Colin Kaepernick had his chance.
Absolutely.
He was given the opportunity, and he felt he was too privileged to take the opportunity he was given. He said, no, thanks. I think I'm better than that. And you know what? He never got another offer.
What do they say, Cuervo? You're only as good as how much you can put in your pocket. Well, that's the way my father presented it to me. But basically, you're only good at who's gonna pay you. And the classic example of that is you can just go back to last year and look what the Patriots did with Cam Newton. You don't think Cam Newton was worth $3 million, $5 million? Of course he was worth $3 or $5 million. How much did they pay him? League minimum. League minimum. Now he signed it for $13 million this year, and I still don't understand that. But hey, he did what he did, and the difference between Cam Newton and a Colin Kaepernick is that Cam Newton did what almost every football player, when they got to make a decision on whether or not they're going to play or retire, do, and that's it. Prove that he can still play at that level. And yes, for less. And not only that, Cuervo, the amount of money that he was being offered at less was a lot more than what Cam Newton got too. So I lose all respect for that. And listen, I know how to Cam Newton hate. I'm really good at it. Okay, but you can't do anything but respect what he did last year, regardless of what the numbers showed or whatever it is. That guy went out and played football for $1 million. Now, if that don't take stones and proving what you think that you can prove out on the football field, more so than fall back on your agenda, which is exactly what he did, Cuervo, fell back up on the agenda instead of playing football. And that was the difference between Cam Newton and Colin Kaepernick.
Yep. And, that like, again, I mean, that just shows how grateful those other guys are for the opportunity, and Colin Kaepernick was being very ungrateful.
Right.
He was not being graceful. He was not being,
what does most NFL players say when they're in a situation? They're thankful and grateful for the opportunity.
Yeah.
Didn't get that from him.
Colin Kaepernick was given a great opportunity. Yes, he wasn't going to be able to start, but you know what? I was thinking about that too. What that also said was that even though Colin Kaepernick, his performance declined towards the end of his time in San Francisco.
Yes.
And on top of that, the fact that he hadn't played in 2, 3, 4 years, him turning that contract down may not even have been about the amount of money. I think it was more about, look, Colin, we cannot guarantee that you're going to be the starting quarterback. You're going to have to work for it.
Oh, so the ego, not necessarily about the money, but about
Colin Kaepernick. I shouldn't have to work for anything. I'm Colin Kaepernick,
I love it.
And I'm oppressed.
I didn't even think about that.
Get the F out of my face with that nonsense.
Yeah, he did. And Fred's right. He had a lot to prove, because the 2 seasons before that, you're right. This guy was on. Hey, listen, I'll argue with anybody about it. His numbers were on the downslide, and all you got to do is take a look at him and the rankings at the time when he started going down. He was ranked around 12th, 13th one year, and 15th and 16th, somewhere in that area the next. So you can't tell me and not only that, he wasn't getting paid league minimum on those contracts that he was being offered, Cuervo. He was getting, if I'm not mistaken, one of them was for $6 million. One of them was for $6 million. And the guy should have jumped at that opportunity, knowing exactly. But I think you're right, Cuervo. I think you called it out the right way. The right thing, what ended up happening, well, I'm not going to start. Are you? Do you know who you're talking to? It's like the guy who gets pulled over and say, "You're going to give me a ticket." Do you know who you're talking to? That's what that was. And and there's your point. There's the point right there. Claiming that he didn't have the opportunity, thus the easy. You can say words are cheap, Cuervo. Proving it. And listen, again, Cam Newton didn't have a good season last year, Cuervo. He'll tell you he didn't. But he went out there and he freaking did it. And there are many football team players, black, white, Puerto Rico, whatever, that had to do the same damn thing because of where they were in their life as far as a commitment to something. And his commitment, hey, congratulations on your commitment and your agenda and your what you want to do. Listen, I'll throw respect at that all day long, but not at the expense of being an NFL quarterback. I won't do that. That's just not right. So, You know, and some people believe exactly what Fred said. You know, he could have definitely still been the martyr and still put in $6 million in his pocket. But here's the thing: that it really is irrelevant in reality if you want to talk money and respect, Cuervo, because we all know in that court settlement that he settled with the NFL, he got way more money he would have got if he played the NFL game. So I'm not even going that route either. So, you know, I wish it would get leaked somehow how much we got from the NFL. And by the way, and the NFL should not have done that, but they didn't have a choice because of a lot of public pressure in reality. They should not have settled that case, in my opinion, based upon what the history of the NFL is. The history of the NFL is you're going to prove what you should make. And if you don't want to prove it, you won't play. And that has been the same thing. This is not Major League Baseball. When you sign a contract, you're going to get every penny. It doesn't work that way in the NFL. And whether it's right or wrong or fair, that's the way that it was. But here's the thing. That theory and the way that was done, that didn't just go across only one race. It went through all races and all players that played that game. So everybody was playing up underneath that rule. Now, whether or not you decide whether or not someone's good enough to play, that's a totally different story, and it's not relevant in the discussions because really $6 million at the time when he was on the downslope, I think he should have signed that and took the money to the bank.
Well, yeah, I mean, of course. I mean, why would you not? And you know, he bet on himself and he lost.
Yep.
He thought he was going to get another offer somewhere else. Oh, be like, oh, we heard Baltimore offered you this. Oh, we're going to offer you more. He thought that was going to happen. He thought it was going to turn into a Colin Kaepernick sweepstakes, like people, like teams were just lining up to get
Jimmy
him.
Garoppolo has a better shot at that than Colin Kaepernick does.
So,
Did.
Yeah, and you know, so again, for me, it goes back to he didn't want to work for his opportunity to get back in the NFL. Tim Tebow, and this is why people respect Tim Tebow so much. He doesn't care if he's 10th on the depth chart at tight end. He is going to do everything he can to work his way up to make a spot on the roster. And I've heard the argument of, well, you know, he's an old guy and he's taking an opportunity away from.
I only want to hear that because if you're young, you can beat out Tim Tebow.
Yeah, he's gonna take an opportunity from the young guys, and you know, but really,
well,
that's what you think.
That's a cop-out excuse, Cuervo, and there's only one answer to someone who says that in reality. And hit him harder with the umbrella. That because it's cop-out. Excuses are cop-outs, and you can say whatever you want about sport. And that's the reason why when I sit here and say that if you're gonna, I don't like the mercy rule. I don't like the unwritten rules that you don't hit a home run on a 3-0 pitch when you're up by 10. You stop them. You have enough pride in your game to do the best you can in order to stop your opponent. And if you don't have it, you shouldn't be out on the football field. Or if you're not going to play that way, you shouldn't be out on the football field. I've always felt like that. Listen, you're talking to a guy that never started at a starting position except in softball. Okay, all right. So listen, this was not a guy. I was fifth. I was third on. No, I was fourth. I was fourth on the basketball team, fourth string. Okay, I played. That's because if someone got hurt, 2 people had to get hurt before I saw the basketball court. Football, I kicked the football until someone crunched me on the side. So guess what? I didn't have the stones to play the game. I didn't deserve it. Okay, so if you can't go out there and give it your all and prove that you deserve what you're supposed to get, regardless how much you're getting paid, you shouldn't be there, regardless what skin color that you are. Now, granted, in history, has it happened to where they paid the black player less? Yes. But we are in 2021, okay? And we are talking about a predominantly black league as far as the NBA is concerned, and 70% of the players in the NFL are black as well. All right. So, and they're getting paid some big bucks. and they're getting paid bigger bucks than some of the other people on that, regardless of what their race is. So I'm not even going to go there. And listen, you can have your agenda, you can have the things that you think are important to you, but the people who say that no, you shouldn't say shut up and play, but they're not the ones spending their money on it. Okay. And some people don't want to hear that when they're spending their money on their entertainment dollar. And I will defend anybody who will stand up and say, listen, I don't want to hear that. I want to watch a football game. And I'll defend their right for feeling that way. But I'm not going to throw a curveball and say, well, that's kind of racist to say that. No, it's not. I want to see a quarterback throw a 60-yard touchdown. That's what I want to see. I don't want to see what their agenda is outside the football. That would almost me caring about what Harrison Ford feels about a certain subject. Because let me tell you something. James Wood is not a good actor, but I like him. But I don't pay to see a James Wood movie for his politics. I see it because I want to see the movie. I just, and I'm sorry, as an American, and people have a right to feel that way. And, I just don't, I guess I'll put it out there. I don't really care what someone's politics are when I'm paying money to go see someone play a sport.
Yeah, the two don't mix, Sonny.
Well, and it's okay that they should. Now, should they? Yes, okay, you can go ahead and do that. But for me, I don't want to. I don't. But that doesn't mean I'm wrong. That just means that I want to play. I want to see a guy rip off a 40-yard touchdown. That's what I want to see.
Right.
So my $50 was to see that play. And that's and there's nothing wrong with that. And those that think that there is, that I just think they're being too single-minded, and it just doesn't fit an agenda. Because sports is not about agendas; it's about entertainment.
Right. It is, and that's what it needs to stick to being is entertainment, not a platform to express how frustrated you are. Or how mad you are at the way that the government is doing things, or there's a time and place for that. Nobody's saying you can't have an opinion on politics or the things going on in this country, or even your opinion on the pandemic itself.
Right. Good point.
But you don't do it on the field. You don't do it when you're at work.
You know who the best is at that? It's a woman. She's a singer. Dolly Parton.
Uh-huh.
Dolly Parton. You don't know who she voted for?
No.
You don't know what her agendas are? Well, you know the COVID thing because she's backing and putting money in it. But outside of that, you don't hear from Dolly Parton. She just does it, and that's why I like her. But I don't know who she voted for. Probably Biden, based upon what she's doing. But something tells me that Dolly Parton, regardless of the situation, would have done that, regardless who was president. So it might not have even been Biden. So she's really good at it. Mixing business, she tries not to mix business with pleasure, and she's done that for many, many years. And with her doing the COVID thing and the virus thing, it's the first time she ever stepped out of that thing, and that's obviously for her good because she's making sure that everybody gets it within her area. So, yeah. So I know people will look at that theory about I want them to play basketball. I'm here to watch a basketball game and look at that as a negative. But I'll say you're wrong every single time. And people have a right to feel that way without feeling like they're being racially beat up for that opinion. That's just not right. It's not everything is racial. Not everything is a cause or should not be a cause. And if it is your cause, congratulations, that's great. But why should you have to care about it?
You shouldn't.
So, I know it's probably politically incorrect, but it is what it is. 3 hours, Cuervo. We fairly easily did 3 hours, and I didn't even do an hour on Frank Gore.
Oh, I'm glad you didn't.
Hey, 5 minutes. 5 minutes. I got to get I'll get my shot into him. 5 minutes this week. Not too bad. Because what I was going to do is, who would you rather have, Frank Gore or this Hall of Famer? I came this close to doing that. But
maybe would you rather segment?
Yeah, would you rather have Frank Gore or this guy? And then just beat up. I didn't. I was a good boy, man. So
I'm proud of you, Sonny.
I'm proud of me too. Only 5 minutes of Frank Gore rip. Not too bad. 5 minutes. That's it.
Good.
Yeah. Hey, I'm almost cured. Oh man. Anyway, how's the lady? I know is she working late? Is that why
she's in school right now? Yeah.
Yeah. So what's it look like for next week? I mean, or do you know yet?
Yeah, it'll probably be same time next week. I'll be able to start the show. Yeah.
Cool. And I don't have to make another poster. I can use the same one. All right.
Yeah, we can stick to that. Yep.
Yeah, that works out. And even Fred said later's better too, and that's because you're 2 hours different too from where I'm at. So I mean, it's 6:30 here, it's 4:30 there. So
yeah,
and you said, and your old lady's still not going to be home for a while, so you got time to kick it up. And well, I was going to say watch LeBron James lose, but that's already happened.
Yeah, that's already taken care of. I'm gonna watch Sunday Night Baseball because guess what? These guys are on.
Oh,
yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Really? All right. I'm going to do something that I wasn't going to do. All right. Take a minute and talk about something. I'll be right back because I found a gym online with someone who didn't know what they had. I found a gym, something that they didn't know they had. So talk a minute. I'll be right back.
A gem?
A gem, a diamond in a rough thing, something that they didn't know what they had. They did not know what they had, and I saw it. So, and I saw it online. Listen, I'm not an online buyer. Okay, I'm just walking up to the store and I'm buying the shit. Okay, that's just what I'm going to do. Okay, I'm not. But I found some history. And I meant to, I forgot I was going to bring it on, and I got this one. But that being said, talk a little bit about what, as far as what you take a look. There was some news this past week about Washington and what they're doing and releasing some players, and say whatever you want. He's your guy, okay? Chico is your guy. I mean, I got some mad love for Chico, but Washington's in a really weird position. And I say this because you're talking about a team that got rid of, in reality, did not want Alex Smith as a backup quarterback. Mm-hmm. Why? I don't know. Okay? Because, listen, whoever's going to be quarterbacking that team, they might get hurt. I mean, going to Alex Smith, all you had to do is pay that guy $3 million. He was going to be there for you. And you want to talk a cheap $3 million, that would be a great $3 million. As far as the Washington Redskins are with Chico and some of the releases, he's releasing a lot of players. I don't know if you know this, but talk a little bit about their chances in the NFC the NFC East. Because if you remember correctly, as we got towards the end of the season, I was rooting for the Washington Redskins to actually win that division, which they did, and end up going to the playoffs, which by the way is phenomenal. And that's on the shoulders of Alex Smith, and they don't want to re-sign Alex Smith. Maybe I'm missing something, maybe I'm wrong, but how you don't go back and say to Alex Smith, thank you so much for getting us there. Now, granted, there are no fans in the stands. Maybe that could be the excuse. I don't know. But I don't know how you don't go to him and say, Alex, thanks for what you did.
Well, yeah, I mean, he is a big part of the reason that those guys got into the playoffs last year. I mean, I think he did get the recognition he deserved from the NFL, as a league by winning Comeback Player of the Year. And you would think, for someone to turn their career around and really their life, because that was a life changing thing for Alex Smith when he, injured himself the way he did. So for him to come back the way he did, I mean, that takes a lot of mental strength, a lot of toughness to
Absolutely
do that. And so, for somebody like that, you don't want to assume, but you would think that a guy like that, with the resiliency that Alex Smith showed, he would be, I don't know about rewarded, but just kind of offered the opportunity to come back one more year just to see where he's at.
Or show him one word, Cuervo. Because I'm telling you right now, they showed him zero when they showed him the door. I mean, you think about it, they showed him zero respect when they showed him the door and said, no, thanks, but no thanks.
Yep.
Now, granted, listen, I know this is about performance. I'm not blind. I get it. I understand. This is a production thing, but he got you to the damn playoffs. It's almost as bad. If it was not Peyton Manning, Cuervo, I would have been all over the Broncos for letting Tim Tebow go because he proved it. And granted, he wasn't great during some times, but he was a winner. He got him there. He beat the frickin' Steelers, and not only that, if I'm not mistaken, the next game he had them in that game as well. Before they lost in the playoffs after that Steeler win. So, show a little respect for a guy that obviously put his life on the line to play football for your football team. Oh, my God. For that move alone, Alex Smith should be in the Hall of Fame. Now, granted, he don't have the numbers and he really shouldn't be in the Hall of Fame, but just that move alone, it deserves him more to be in the Hall of Fame than Frank Gore. Yeah, I just said it. Yeah.
Here we go.
But the respect that guy does deserve in reality should be set. Now, that being said, again.
Diamond in the rough.
Yeah, the diamond in the rough. I was so excited, and I don't normally shop. And I was accidentally shopping, by the way, because I'm actually looking for a pair of shoes. I just wanted to know how much they were. I wasn't going to buy them online. I go and I try them on. I don't care what anybody says. I'm trying the damn shoe on. That being said, I saw this little prize right here. A fitted big fat head. Now, I am a 7, and here, where is it? So I can prove I'm a 7 7/8. Oh,
wow.
I got a big head. I mean, can't you see it? Week in and week out. I got a big head. I got a big head. That's 7 7/8. I got a big ass head.
That's a pretty big hat.
And not only that, Cuervo, it's not just the Chicago White Sox hat. It's the World Series hat. The World Series hat.
And what did you pay for that? Like 50 cents?
I paid $1. And I paid $4.50 for delivery. And I got the perfect fitted hat. And now you're too young
like
to
that,
understand.
Sonny, okay? Let's leave it like that in that direction. We're going to have to see the other side.
Yeah, and turn this around. But the funny thing about that is now I'm on the lookout for your Chicago Cubs hat. And I'm going to take the hats, both of them. I'm going to take the back part off. Do you remember, being a Chicago boy, the name Ray Rayner?
Mm-mm.
All right,
doesn't sound familiar.
Way before your time, early 70s, mid 70s when I was a kid.
Okay.
There was a show called The Ray Rayner Show. Look it up on Google. You'll see it. And he wore a Chicago White Sox hat. And when they were doing bad and the Cubs were doing good, he'd flip it around just like this, and the other side would be a Cub side.
Got it.
That's what I'm looking for. But I want the championship Cub. I need to find the championship one, so I have both championships on for each side, and then I can flip it around just like Ray Rayner did.
Okay.
So I'm looking for a 7 and 7/8 Chicago Cubs world championship side, and then I have a seamstress that said that she will do this for me. So I'm looking forward to this.
Okay.
So one of these days I'm going to show up with this, and when I turn it around, it'll be the Cubs. You'll know it's inspired by Ray Rayner. Just do a little Google search. You'll understand who he is. He's a Chicago icon before your time. And I used to watch him religiously when I was a kid. So, I love that hat. The Big Hurt, by the way.
Big Hurt?
Love me some Big Hurt. Didn't you love Frank Thomas? I mean,
I did like Frank Thomas. I actually do like Frank Thomas.
How do you not like Frank Thomas?
I do.
Now he's pushing erectile pills or something like that.
Yeah, I know.
Outside of that, I still like him. You know, hey, he's got to get paid. I get it. But yeah, this gym, $1. So and $4 shipping. I paid $5 for this, and it's a nice hat too, and never worn, brand new by let's see here. By the new era is the hat.
Yeah.
New era.
Yep.
Yeah. So
I'm
this
very familiar with those.
this is a quality hat, and when I looked it up, this hat is expensive.
It's top of the line.
Yeah,
This
top of the line. This is a $50 hat.
Yeah.
I mean, it's stupid. And that's another thing. I didn't realize how much hats cost anymore because I haven't bought. My head's not really good for them because my head's big. That's the reason why I love baseball.
And you know what though? And for your size, it's probably a little bit cheaper.
Mm-hmm.
It's because it's a rare size.
And no one will buy it because they don't wear a 7 and 7/8.
Now, me on the other hand, I have a size that's more common. I wear 7 1/4.
Now, is your championship hat fitted, or is it the thing in the back?
No, you know what? The one championship Cubs hat that I do have, I don't believe it is fitted.
Yeah, I won't wear anything but a fitted hat because I don't like
Me
that
too.
thing in the back.
It was a gift. The hat that I got was
Now, if someone handed me the hat, I'm not going to say I'm not wearing this piece. No, I would never do that. I'd probably wear the hell out of it because someone's thinking about me, and I would not. I couldn't do that. I'm just not that guy, I guess you said. But I can't wait to get the I'm gonna find the Cubs one cheap too because of my fat head. And I'm going to get that logo on it with their World Series up on it too. So one of these days it'll happen. Ray Rayner.
Ray Rayner, got it.
I'm finding out that shows back in the 70s were not as good as I thought they were as an old person. I mean, I went back. I'm going to admit this. I was watching Happy Days the other day.
Oh yeah.
The show's horrible. I mean, as a 54-year-old man, this is a horrible show. But I'm telling you right now, back in the day, that was the shit.
Come on, what about the fun?
Hey. Yeah, here. That's where that came from, Fonzie.
Hey.
But anyway, well, that's all I got. I did want to show this off. I actually forgot about that, so I'm glad you did something to trigger my mind for me to remember. This is cool. I love it.
I showed you the Cubs shirt I was wearing. That's
it. And that's right. I got my hat. I actually wore this the other day too, which was kind of cool too. But I wore it straight up. Look at that. It sits right on my head, perfect.
There you go.
I mean, it don't get much better than that. And that's the fitted hat. Normally, I still want to try the fit. It's not even one of those stretch fitted ones. You know how you got that stretch fitted one and it comes back on? No, this is actually a fitted hat.
New eras. Yeah. There's nothing stretchable about.
Yeah, no stretch. And I don't know if the Cub one has one where that's not stretchy like that because I know they have the stretchy ones. I've seen those in the Cubs one. That's why I didn't buy it because it was stretchy.
Mm-hmm.
So if it was a real fitted one, I might have bought it. But my problem is that hat is about $50 too, and I'm not paying $50 for a hat. I'm just not gonna do it. I'm too much of a cheapskate. I'm not paying $50 for a hat. Nope, won't do it.
Yeah, I don't blame you one bit.
So anyway, by the way, what's your favorite hat?
My favorite, like out of the ones that I have now,
The ones that you have, what is your favorite hat?
So it was actually given to me as a gift by and to my fiance. If you're listening, if you're watching this, don't take this the wrong way. It was given to me by a young lady that when I was recruiting in Chicago, she wanted to, she was in the process of enlisting. And I think because just the fact that I was helping her and I was, I had been helping her more than anyone had ever helped her before, she got me a fitted Cubs hat, but it has the Marine digital pattern of our uniform.
No, that's cool.
Yeah, it has our digital, our uniform pattern.
Post that. I want to see that. I want to see. Post that on your Facebook page. That's cool.
Yeah.
Now your woman wouldn't care about that.
Yeah, I just, when women hear like another girl bought you a gift. I mean, this was years ago though, so.
Yeah.
Whereas,
I wear it with pride. I got fat head. Can you believe that 7/7 head? That's a big head. I'm sorry. When I was younger, it was only 7. So because I know I had a fitted hat. In fact, I had a PGA hat that was a fitted hat that was a size 7, which, I had a Freddie, believe it or not, I had a Freddie Couples hat. One of my favorite golfers when I was younger. So yeah.
Yeah, I know who that is.
He reminded me of the guy, a guy that will be up here in the corner here. He reminded me of this guy. Where's it at? Right there, the one on the left. Reminded me of McEnroe. The guy had an attitude, got pissed at himself all the time, and it's just, and that's what was so great about John McEnroe. John McEnroe, he wasn't pissed at any. Now, granted, he went off on officials. Don't get me wrong, but that was usually in response to his play. Even though he was ripping the refs, he was really ripping himself in reality because of his play, and people ask me where I get my passion for sports. I get it from I get it from that guy right there. Right, that guy right there. I get it from him because listen, no one wanted to be on board more than John McEnroe. I mean, and he hated. See, and that's the Michael Jordan effect. He hated losing to certain people. He didn't want to lose anyway, but certain people it really pissed him off. But he just wanted to be the best, regardless of what the quote unquote norms was. Because when you look at John McEnroe back in the day, he was not what the norm was for tennis in reality. Neither was Borg. That's the reason why when you say McEnroe Borg, you go, holy shit! What a great.
Yeah, Bjorn Borg, yeah.
Yes. I mean, you go back into the history. You go back to Wimbledon. You go back to the U.S. Open when they were going head-to-head. Now, listen, McEnroe wasn't great on clay, so I never really watched him on clay in the French Open and stuff like that. I never watched him because he wasn't really great at it. But, man, you get on that artificial and that natural turf, man, McEnroe was something to watch. And he would sit there and yell at himself all through a match, and people just thought he was he was to a certain point a brat, but they were calling him a brat for the wrong reason. So,
I don't think that's being a brat. I think
that's what they called him. That's what they called him, Corey. But back in the day, they called him a brat.
Yeah, I just think he's a guy with character
and passion for his game. And another guy who was actually pretty good at, not as bad, Andre Agassi was another guy who kind of wore his emotions on his sleeve sometimes. And by the way, if you're ever bored and you want to read tennis, okay, Andre Agassi's book, Open, is a really, really good book. And I read that book in a week. And now, I read Sweetness. It took me 2.5 weeks to read the damn thing. I read Open in a week. I love me some Andre Agassi. He's good. Hey, and the reason why am I doing this? Why am I doing this, Cuervo? What happens in July? Oh man, I gotta teach you about tennis. Wimbledon happens in
Wimbledon.
July.
Oh, okay, yeah, Wimbledon.
It's upcoming, and then a month after that, the U.S. Open. It might be 2 months. I gotta remember.
I'm not good with the tennis schedule, so
Yeah, no. But I am. I'm getting rocked there. I don't know how they're going to do it over there, and I'm going to actually start looking up how they're going to do Wimbledon if they're going to have. That's one of my biggest worries. I don't care about anything before now because now everything's opening now. Kind of things are happening. And listen, I want to see fans, and I want to see them wear masks. Screw it, put them out there, let them wear the mask. They'll take their listen. I'll go sit and watch an indoor football game right now with a mask. I will do it. And I don't care how many people there because I'll have the mask. So, let the people in that want to go see it if they want to wear it. Or if they don't want to wear the mask, screw it. Let them not wear it. I don't care. But minimum, make them wear a mask. Get those people back in there because, look, July, guess what's happening in July for wrestling? They start hitting the road again, Cuervo. So WWE and AEW and Impact and Ring of Honor, they're all hitting the road again in July. And they actually are starting right here in Texas in the Dallas area. So we're getting close. We're getting close to those things. And, how many people are they letting in the baseball games up in Chicago?
I want to say, I don't know if it's 50%, something
50?
like that. I think it's 50. I think it's half.
Texas, no limits.
Yeah.
They can fill the whole damn thing up. But, when they started that, I was like, but hey, yeah, I'm not going to go up there. There are too many people there. The reason why I go to an indoor football game because there's not going to be more than 5,000 people there. But 40 to 50,000 indoors, I don't know. That's a little too much. So, max 10,000. Oh, wrestling. I'm one. I can't go to live wrestling matches unless I'm calling it. So, like when I go to the indies and I'm calling it, I can't watch wrestling without hearing the commentators. It's just the way it is. That goes back to the old radio days when I'm living in Springfield, Illinois. I'm listening to Chicago Cubs baseball at nighttime, where the radio waves went longer at nighttime, and they actually got all the way down to Springfield. Listening to St. Louis Cardinal baseball games, got those games as well. Every once in a while, on good night, you can get the Milwaukee Brewers as well. But
really?
Yeah.
Man, that's far.
Yeah. When I was actually in Aurora, Illinois, I went up and we got Brewer games if it worked out good. So, yeah. But that goes back to listening to broadcasts and listening to the radios. And, back in the day, I feel like one of those guys from the 50s. They're just sitting around the radio listening. That's what I did. I actually sat in my bedroom listening to, baseball games on the radio more so than anybody, that I knew at that time. So it is what it is. So. All right, I just expanded this to 7 o'clock. We just said, screw it, let's keep going. Anyway, I wasn't doing anything anyway. But I think that's it. We done? Anything you wanted to? Anything that I missed?
No. Congrats to Phil Mickelson. He won the PGA Championship.
Phil Mickelson?
Phil Mickelson won.
No, you're kidding.
No, he at 50 years old. I think it said he was the oldest to win.
That's what I'm saying. I can't believe he won.
Yeah, Phil Mickelson won the PGA Championship today.
Listen, that's a major.
Yeah,
isn't that the green jacket?
No, that's the Masters.
That's right, it's the Masters. But the PGA Championship, that's a major. That's one of the fours. So yeah, that's right. The Masters. I don't know what I was thinking, but holy cow. I can't believe that. Hey, if someone asked me listen, I'll tell you right now, if someone said, hey, Phil Mickelson's going to win the PGA Championship.
I
don't think so. Yeah, wow. Congratulations. Yeah. That's huge. That's huge for him at the age that he's at. There's no question about that.
Yeah.
Gosh, he's going to go into the senior tour soon.
What is it, 55?
I think it's 55. Isn't he like 54?
50.
Oh, he's 50. God, I'm older than him. I thought he was I thought we were the same age, or he was a little older, so I'm incorrect about that. Interesting. So yeah. Hey, it is what it is. All right, that's it. I'm done. I won't keep you any longer.
You're good, Sonny.
Feeling better. You can tell. I think.
I can definitely tell.
All right, that's going to do it for us on the Couch Potato Sports Show. Join us next. I might be able. I'm thinking. Hold on. That just depends. I'm thinking next Friday too. Thinking about hopping on, depending on what. I don't know when that's going to be. It'll probably be early morning. You working Friday?
This coming up Friday?
Yeah.
Not exactly. So I'm doing an online course from home.
Oh, okay.
And so I don't know what time it's going to end.
Got it.
But as soon as it ends, we might be able to sneak something in.
Yeah, it won't be long. It won't be like our extravaganza 3 hour. Well, 3.5 today. It won't be like that. Just something quick. Something's going to come up. I got a sneaking suspicion there's going to be some big news happening this week, and then we'll hop on and be able to talk about it if we got time. And that's another thing. That's why I'm kind of iffy about it. I think I do have something, but I don't know how long it's going to take. So I'm kind of in your situation. So, but I think I'll be available after 12 or 1 o'clock, somewhere in that area, my time. So I'm not sure when you'll be, but we'll talk about it as we get closer to it.
Okay.
All right, that's going to do it for us here on the Couch Potato Sports Show. It's that being said, 11 years for that man right there, Cuervo. We'll do it again next Sunday, maybe next Friday. We'll keep that in mind. Keep your eyes and ears open. Check my page. I'm trying to push the page so people can see it. We'll check you next week, everybody. Have a good one. Bye-bye.